Whereas an eating disorder is a serious mental illness with often devastating physical implications. And whereas eating disorders often affect many individuals and families in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, whereas recovery from an eating disorder is a journey that includes support from families and caregivers. And whereas the Eating Disorder Foundation of Newfoundland and Labrador is a leadership advocacy group dedicated to promoting awareness, treatment services, and providing family support services and information about matters related to eating disorders. Whereas Eating Disorder Awareness Week is a time dedicated to raising awareness, promoting understanding, and providing support to individuals affected by the illness. Whereas February 1st to 7th, 2024 is dedicated across Newfoundland and Labrador and the entire country as a special time when many educational and awareness activities take place to help raise the level of understanding of eating disorder prevention, treatment, and recovery. Therefore, I, George Andrews, Mayor of the Town of Happy Valley Goose Bay, do hereby proclaim February 1st to 7th, 2024 to be observed as Eating Disorder Awareness Week in Happy Valley Goose Bay. And I will sign that and I'll get the details done. And we'll get that one sorted out. So I'm going to give her this copy. Can you fill out the name of the community under and make sure she gets a copy? Or we'll keep a copy as well, and we can post it, right? Yeah. Okay. There you go, ma'am. Thank you very much, and thanks for the awareness.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Bye, Kelly.
Take care. All right, our second proclamation is for World Wetlands Day, February 2nd, 2024. Whereas World Wetlands Day is celebrated each year on February 2nd to highlight the value of wetlands ecosystems, this day also marks the anniversary of the Convention of Wetlands, which is adopted, or was adopted, as an intergovernmental treaty in 1971. And whereas wetlands are critically important ecosystems that sustain biodiversity, filter out our water supply, provide water, protect us from storms and floods, and store carbon. By recognizing World Wetlands Day, we aim to increase public awareness about how much wetlands do for our community and to encourage action to protect, conserve, and restore them. World Wetlands Day is for everyone to recognize as these ecosystems are important to us all. And whereas the theme of World Wetlands Day 2024 is Wetlands and Human Well-Being. This year's campaign spotlights how interconnected wetlands and human life are, with people drawing sustenance, inspiration, and resilience from these productive ecosystems. Importantly, the theme of 2024 underscores how all aspects of human well-being are tied to the health of our world's wetlands. It calls on each of us to value and steward our wetlands. Every wetland matters, every effort counts. And whereas the Town of Happy Valley Goose Bay and the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador signed a Municipal Habitat Stewardship Agreement, becoming members of the Stewardship Association of Municipalities, committing to the conservation and enhancement of important wetland habitat, the Town of Happy Valley Goose Bay maintains this agreement and continues to be supporters of municipal habitat stewardship in the community. Therefore, I, Mayor George Andrews, do hereby recognize and proclaim February the 2nd, 2024 as World Wetlands Day in the Town of Happy Valley Goose Bay. And I will sign today. There you go. So I proclaim February the 2nd as World Wetlands Day. And our final proclamation this evening is 211 Day. Proclaims that amplifies awareness of 211 in Newfoundland and Labrador and the National 211 Day. February the 11th, 2024. Whereas February 11th is proclaimed as 211 Day in Newfoundland and Labrador, and whereas the main goal of 211 is to connect people in our province with help when they need it most. 211 is Canada's primary source of information and referral for government and community-based programs, as well as non-clinical and social services. It operates 24/7. It's free, confidential, and can accommodate over 150 languages. The wait times are minimal. It can also accommodate people who are deaf, deafened, and hard of hearing. We can connect people to clinical programs and services upon request through live transfers, All calls are answered by trained and certified navigators who are ready to listen, assess, provide service, navigation, and to advocate if needed. And whereas 211 will be organizing building illuminations, inviting mayors of municipalities in Newfoundland and Labrador to proclaim February 11th as 211 Day, distributing 211 promotional materials and offering information sessions both in person and virtually to raise awareness of 211 service. And whereas these activities will raise awareness of the 211 information and referral service, and that it can be assessed by anyone living in Newfoundland and Labrador by phone, chat, or the web. And therefore, I, George Andrews, Mayor of the town of Happy Valley, Goose Bay, do hereby proclaim Sunday, February the 11th, 2024, as 211 Day in the town of Happy Valley, Goose Bay. And I'm signing this as we speak. And just as a side note, we tried it, and it does work from our community, so that's wonderful. All right, that's the 3 proclamations. There's no more, is there? We're good? Okay. I'll leave them. You can put pictures of them on, post them on our site after. Oh, she's coming now. Okay. All right, let's see here. Okay, welcome back. Thought we were going to have to appoint a CAO, but CAO just scooted in on time from a flight. All right, everybody ready to go? All right. Good evening. I will like to call to order the regular meeting. We have our 52nd council meeting of the 13th elected town council of town of Happy Valley, Goose Bay. Your agenda is in front of you. Anything you wanted to add before we adopt the agenda? All right, nothing heard. Motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Moved by Deputy Mayor Wallace, seconded by Councillor Brumfield. Discussion. All those in favor indicate aye. Aye. Contrary-minded? We've adopted our agenda. Any delegations this evening? No delegations are present. All right, so there's 2 sets of minutes that we have to approve. And before I do that, I need to check something. Is that of the 2 meetings? Looking here. Yeah, okay. I just wanted to check something. Did we do? Okay. All right, so the minutes have been sent to us previously. The 50th minutes of the December 12th meeting, 2023, are there for you, and I will entertain a motion to accept them as presented. Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Wallace, seconded by Councillor Pomeroy. Any errors or omissions? Any further discussion? Okay, none being heard. All those in favor indicate with aye. Aye. Contrary-minded? Passed. All right, the minutes for the 51st meeting, which were the financial statements for 2020, have been presented. Mover to accept them as presented. Moved by the Councillor Rumbold, seconded by? Councillor Pomeroy, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, none being heard. All those in favor indicate with aye. 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 Contrary-minded? Passed. Correspondence is only one, excuse me, an incoming. I have as the Municipal Assessment Agency update, and there don't see any outgoing. So that's the regular one for there. Any questions on that one? Okay, we're good. All right, so we'll move into community reports from the committees, and we'll start with community planning and development. Councillor Compton-Hobbs.
Thank you, Mayor. Community Planning and Development Committee met on Tuesday, January the 16th. Present was myself as chair, Councillor Bert Pomeroy, Councillor Denise Rumble, CAO Nadine McCauley, Engineer Randy Dillon, Engineer Technologist Mark Urquhart, GIS Mark McCurtis, and Executive Assistant Kathy Eddy. The meeting was called to order at 4:45. There was no delegations or presentations. We reviewed the minutes and action items. Some of the action items that are being worked on is the real property report and compliance letter. Engineer, technologists, and GIS are working to develop a policy regarding these requirements, definitions relating to property sales purchases. So they met with the parties, which provided a better understanding of how to expedite the process. There was questions around surveys, so the next step is they're gonna meet with Nick Parrott. And after this meeting, they'll finalize the policy, bring it to the committee and get some feedback, and then send it to the finance for approval. Some other action items, development regulations, so they've worked on them during the holidays. They have a list, and they will bring them recommendations back to the February meeting so that we can bring some motions forward to make some changes to the development regulations. Talked about 3 Mackenzie on the action item. There was a letter sent. There's still no changes to the numbering to date, so there's gonna be another letter delivered to the owner of that property. Some new business we talked about. We talked about the monthly permit updates, but there was no permits issued in December, so that didn't change. Deferred Crown land applications, Craig Ackerman and Colton Hilliard, still waiting for a response from NAV Canada. We have some new Crown applications that I'll bring forward shortly with some motions, discretionary land use, a home-based business, and a variance that I'll bring forward. Other business we talked about, we received a letter from Bill Dormany from the Lab Inn. He's requesting that anyone from council that wants to do a walkthrough to see what's going on up there, but they're planning future plans for a level 1 and 2 assisted living facility. So I did send an email. If anybody's interested, Kathy will schedule a time with Mr. Dormany if anybody wants to walk through the facility. We discussed ride sharing and Uber, ride sharing and short-term rentals, Airbnbs and such. The province has put out a deadline in place for all short-term rentals to register by March 31st. This will allow the town to ask who is registered and have further discussion. So the town needs to be proactive and have regulations to address the short-term rentals such as Airbnbs and ride sharing. The committee has asked that management gather some information and see what other municipalities are doing, and we will discuss this further in our February meeting. So our next meeting, and that was it for the agenda, our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, February the 20th, and I do have some recommendations to bring forward.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Compton-Hobbs. It's been moved by Councillor Compton-Hobbs that we accept the Community Planning and Development Report as presented. Seconded by?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Palmer. Discussion? Okay, none heard. All those in favour indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded? Passed. You have some recommendations.
Yes.
The floor is yours.
So the first one is Crown Land Application 161906, Nicola Cabot. The Community Planning Development Committee recommends council provide no objection to Crown Lands Application 161906 on the condition that future development complies with the town's development regulations.
Okay, moved by Councillor Compton-Hobbs through the Community Planning and Development Committee that council have no objection to Crown Lands Application 161906. Seconded by Councillor Rumbold. Discussion? Okay, none heard. All those in favour indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded? Passed. Next one, please.
Crown Land Application 161290, Newfoundland Limited. The Community Planning Development Committee recommends Council object to Crown Land's application 161290 as snow storage without adequate drainage could have negative impact on surrounding properties. In addition, the council is not supportive of non-developable land acquisition behind properties not owned by the road fronting property owner.
Okay, moved by Councillor Compton Hobbs to CPD Committee that we object to Crown Lands application 161290. Seconded by Councillor Brumfield. Discussion. Oh, I thought you were going to say something, sir. All right, all those in favour indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary-minded? Passed. Next one, please.
Crown Land application 161959, Keppel Island C&E Incorporated. The Community Planning and Development Committee recommends council provide no objection to Crown Land's application 161959 on the condition that future development complies with the town's development regulations.
Okay, moved by Councillor Compton Hobbs and the Community Planning and Development Committee that we have no objection to Crown Lands application 161959. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Wallace. All those in favour indicate with aye. Oh, no discussion. Sorry. Discussion.
Yeah,
Yep, sorry, sir.
Councillor,
I will note your hand.
give us an idea where that's to?
Spruce Park.
Yeah.
That in the area.
Oh, okay, yes, yeah, okay.
Juniper.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
thanks, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I thought at one point in time we had agreed that the applications we would put the general area would be for folks, especially listening, because no one would know what, unless you submitted 161959, you wouldn't know what or where it is.
Just a little background, Your Worship, we had provided no objection to previous applicants for these two parcels of
Yep.
land, and they since have given up on their application process. So this is another application for the two pieces.
Yep.
And I guess staff was instructed to advise the applicant that the applicant will be responsible for all costs associated with development of that property.
Yeah, and that was my concern back at the beginning, that all of a sudden, the cost would make it prohibitive kind of deal. So as long as they understood that they would be responsible for that cost, yeah, it's fine. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, now, all those in favor indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary-minded? Passed. Next application.
Crown Land application 161960, Keppel Island C&E Incorporated. The Community Planning Development Committee recommends council provide no objection to Crown Land's application 161960 on the condition that future development complies with the town's development regulations.
Okay. It's moved through by Councillor Compton Hobbs and Community Planning Development Committee that we have no objection to Crown Lands application 161960. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Wallace. Discussion.
Just,
It's the same.
it's the same
Yeah.
area.
It's the adjoining.
next
Yeah.
to it.
Okay.
Yeah, next
And it
to
had to be because it's two separate parcels, so
Yes.
submitted. Yeah. Okay.
They're 4 duplex, 2-bedroom units, right?
Yes, they're.
Or a 4-plex.
They're
Well, this is the land. They would have to come back for a development application, right?
yeah.
We don't know their plans.
They haven't come forward with a
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
plan.
Well,
Okay.
I think that was the intent of previous
Yeah.
developers potentially, right? To put
On the
additional units.
application, that's what it says.
Yeah, but this is only the Crown Lands application, right? So the Crown Lands wouldn't have anything to do with housing. All right. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate with aye. Aye. Contrary-minded? Passed. Next one, please.
Home-based business 44 Mitchell Street, Labrador Maintenance. The Community Planning Development Committee recommends council support and approve the home-based business application from it, 44 Mitchell Street for Labrador Maintenance, which will operate a home office for construction maintenance company, subject to compliance with all the town regulations and conditions.
Okay, it is moved by Councillor Compton Hobbs and the Community Planning Development Committee that we approve a home-based business at 44 Mitchell called Labrador Maintenance. Seconded by?
I'll second that.
Okay, Councillor Pomeroy, seconder. Discussion? No more discussion? Okay. All those in favor indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded? Passed. Next one, please.
Variance 69 Markland Road. The Community Planning Development Committee recommends council support and approve the application from Joshua Rose for a 7.2% variance in maximum accessory building height, subject to compliance with all the town regulations and conditions.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Compton Hobbs, and the Community Planning and Development Committee that council support and approve the application for Joshua Rose, variance of 7.2% at 69 Markland Road. Seconded by Councillor Rumbold. In discussion, why the 7.2? Are we making something fit? Yep.
Well, basically, that would be the amount of the variance that they would need. Because we can go to a maximum 10,
Yeah.
so their variance is 7.2. So
Yeah.
the building is already under construction or built.
It's a shed.
Yeah, but the 7.2 is a bit of a bizarre figure. Why didn't you go to 10%?
That's the exact amount that it's, the variance.
Right, so it must be something else there. So is this to make the shed fit or
The shed.
because when I read the application, it says that the new accessory building in the rear yard approximately 1 to 2 feet below something of the house.
It has something to do with the pitch or the peak of the house, in terms of where the variance would come into.
Yeah, right. So the development regulation states that your accessory building shall not exceed that of the line of the house, right?
Yeah.
But is this, the way I read this, the new accessory building, which is the shed,
So where
is going to be a
the
foot.
The eave is, and
Yeah.
the pitch of the peak, there's a calculation that determines how much of a variance that would be required. The most that we can provide is 10%. So this is 7.2. So it's based on the height of the eave, from my understanding, town engineer. It's not really the
And-
height of the building.
And can we provide height or variance on buildings, or is it just land?
On buildings.
I'm
Buildings and
asking the engineer.
Yes, Mayor, it can be provided on the building.
On buildings as well?
Yes.
Because we had a similar issue over on Davis or Gear, one of the streets there a number of years ago, and it was the variance, there was a question as to whether or not we could issue a variance on building height as opposed to land.
Yeah, I think some of the issues on Davis may be the fact that you have a number of buildings that are within the easement, and there's no
Yeah,
variance
yeah,
that can be granted in those cases.
Yeah, I know, just like I say, in some of the conversation that was had, that there was a question as to whether or not the variance could be given on height.
Yeah, it's based
okay.
on height of land.
Yeah.
typically.
And there was no objections from the neighbours?
No.
I know it was
no,
published,
Mayor,
but
there was
on our
a,
website, but
there were a variance that was placed in
Yeah.
on our website
For
on
the
January
week,
12th
right?
and
Yeah,
19th.
okay. All right, because usually after the fact causes a lot of trouble, right? So that's why best to do it front. All right, any further discussion? All right, none being heard. All those in favor indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded? Passed. That's it for you, Councillor Compton Hobbs?
That's it.
Good.
Can I mention something?
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, going back to your report, you said that you're following up on civic numbering
Yeah.
of Mackenzie.
Yes.
Was Megan discussed? I know that was
Yep.
supposed to be on the agenda as well, or it was discussed because that apartment building has.
The same numbers. Like it's
Property
numbers
Yeah.
as opposed.
Yeah.
So we've talked about this a dozen times. Haven't we directed staff?
100%.
To
They
have
wrote
that
letter
fixed?
and no response, and now they're taking
Yeah,
the
but-
next step.
But that's, is that the same building?
No, this is Mackenzie.
Yeah, you're talking
Yeah.
about,
You're
Megan.
typically 3 Mackenzie, that's right across,
This is
that's
the,
on Megan or.
Okay, so it's the same building.
Yeah, the property is
Oh, it-
three Megan. It's not on Mackenzie, it's actually on Megan, even though.
But it should be
sorry,
three-
It's on Mackenzie.
yeah, it's on Mackenzie.
Yeah, but it's the same
Even though it
property.
goes
But it
right
should
on.
be 3A, B, C, D, E, F, G,
Yeah.
Three-
not 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah,
Well, it really goes on two properties, two roads, Mackenzie and.
Yeah, you're on two roads.
It depends on what the tax roll says.
Yeah,
But
the
either way, haven't we
frontage
addressed
is on
this? Haven't we given staff?
Staff
Lots of
have
direction in
no letter
that,
with
like,
no response,
can we-
Now they're taking step 2.
Yeah, I think in the package it says proceed to fine them $500.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, the ultimate goal here is to get the
Yes, exactly.
numbers
And they
changed,
didn't
right?
receive a response back to the letter, so no, you don't know if they got, this one is gonna be registered or mail or
Yeah.
whatever.
be a registered letter.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, we do have municipal enforcement officers
Yeah,
that,
They're
the
out of
company
town,
is
in
out of
Ontario.
Ontario that owns the property.
oh, okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, can we go after the individual people in the houses? And it's from a safety perspective more than
Yeah.
anything, right?
But we checked into that, Your Worship, and the property owner is the one that's responsible for
Not the tenants.
doing that, not the tenants. They're just paying the rent.
The next step.
Yeah,
may be the town.
unfortunately, I hope, the ambulance doesn't get misdirected in time, or the
Next-
fire truck or something,
It
right?
could be that the town take it, change it and then bill him.
That's an option as
That's an
well.
option.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we got that legal authority to do someone's personal property,
Yeah, I
but,
think we discussed that in the meeting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
okay, well, hopefully the letter gets or even,
The town does have the authority to affix addresses on buildings in the community.
Yeah.
for safety
Okay.
reasons.
that's an interesting conversation. Okay, all right, so that's the same property though you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are trying, because we've talked about that a lot of times. All right, thank you. We move into community services and recreation. And pass the chair over to Councillor Rumbold.
Thank you, Mayor. The Community Services and Recreation Committee meeting was called to order at 4:50 on January the 10th of 2024. Present were myself as chair, Deputy Mayor Ella Wallace, Councillor Hayward Broomfield, Community Development Manager Greg Osmond, Community Services and Recreation Director Travis Ford, and Executive Assistant Kathy Eddy. Regrets were extended by CAO Nadine McCauley. The meeting agenda was approved as presented. There were no delegations present, and no errors or omissions were detected in previous minutes. Action items were reviewed and updated where possible. Some items which are still ongoing and have been tasked to the CSR Director for updates are the sound system in the EJ Broomfield Arena, the annual maintenance of the MMC soccer field, updating the user agreements for groups who utilize the arena, installing a memorial plaque in Clyde's room, and updating and maintaining a calendar of events for the town website, which the CSR Director will work with the Community Development Manager to implement. Chair also asked the CSR Director to send official written notice to the Men's Recreational Hockey League of his decision regarding their ice time dispute, as they had advised that this issue had still not been resolved. New business, the committee asked the Director if he had submitted an application for an active NL grant, and were advised that he had not, as he did not have any projects that required funding. He advised that he has, however, applied through the Canada Summer Jobs Program for summer recreation funding. Committee also discussed other grants and funding opportunities and requested that the Director apply for whatever may be available, including funding for Canada Day celebrations. The Director advised that he is having trouble with the online submission for that program, so it was requested that he call and speak to the appropriate officials, as many funding programs are time sensitive. In other business, the CSR Director advised the committee of upcoming events and tournaments, including the Provincial Figure Skating and Lab Cup hockey tournaments. He also advised the committee that he presently has a full complement of staff and should have no issues ensuring these events are covered. Some items which had been discussed in budget meetings were brought forward for more information. The committee asked the CSR Director about the curling club specifically, if any fees are being charged to the user group, and who oversees building maintenance and repairs. Director Ford advised the Town Recreation Department takes care of maintenance at this building. Staff completes twice daily checks of the facility and follows up on maintenance when advised by the club of items which may need repair. To the Director's knowledge, there are no fees paid and no user agreement is in place. The question was asked about the Lake Melville Dog Park and liability insurance, and committee was advised that this facility would fall under the town's blanket insurance policy, the same as Kinsman Park or any other town-owned property. It was suggested that user agreements should be in place for all town facilities. The question was also asked about the maintenance of the Peacock School playground, as there seems to be some question in the community as to who maintains this property, the school board or the town. Director Ford advised that at one time the town did maintain this property, however, that is no longer done. The CSR Director suggested that the town meet with the school to have a formal discussion on the playground facility. The final item which had been discussed during budget talks was the skate park, which is in disrepair, and Director Ford advised that there is money in his general CSR budget allocated for maintenance of this property. There being no more items to discuss, the next CSR meeting was scheduled for Tuesday, February the 13th at 12 p.m., and the meeting was adjourned at 5:45 p.m. Please accept my report as submitted.
Okay, thank you. Moved by Councillor Rumbold that we accept the Community Services and Recreation Committee report as presented. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Wallace. Discussion. Councillor Pomeroy first.
Yeah, it's just more of a clarification, or like you mentioned that about the Peacock Playground. That playground was actually put there by parents of students that went to Peacock, and the town installed the playground, but the school board was to be responsible for maintaining it.
Yeah.
That was always the.
And the reason it was
The town
discussed
never,
in this
ever
last meeting was just because it had come up in our budget
Yeah.
discussions, and so it was, asked to go back to the CSR director just to see if there was any maintenance being
Yeah.
done at
The
this
town
time,
had-
and he
had
just
taken
clarified
on
that
maintenance on that building.
there is not.
Yeah.
There may have been some in kind, but the
Yes.
responsibility lies with the school board. That was a condition
Yep.
when it was
Okay.
built.
Councillor Brumfield.
Yes, Councilor Rummel, you mentioned where I'm on this committee as well, and I'm gonna bring in some from my experience. When I was here as the town clerk, I don't remember Kevin Lane, who was the director of the CSR committee at the time, ever having a user agreement with anyone. I have never ever seen that.
Well, I can only speak from my experience as being involved in a particular organization who utilized the arena when I was president. We did have a user agreement. We
I've
well,
never seen one.
and we also we had meetings at the beginning of the year with the user groups, and information was shared and that kinds of stuff. So, Deputy Mayor Wallace.
Hi, just a quick one there, yeah. Councillor Broomfield, I think it's more, just from my past experiences managing facilities of all sizes, it's just a courtesy and a expectation, so everyone knows what's expected of them, both the user who's renting and the owner of the building itself. More just to rule out any issues that may arise, everyone's understanding is what's happening from the get-go, something to refer to. It's something that would obviously rule out a lot of blurred lines if there was anything in place. And there
But
isn't
I know there are user agreements in the arena now.
for some groups.
Yeah, but in terms of like what the requirement would be for, say, an individual, say I went over to rent the ice for an hour, is there a user agreement? I don't think there's been user agreements in the past like that, right? So
No.
maybe just something. Councillor sorry, are you finished?
Well, even
Sorry.
if you had public skating, then you're saying that you need a user agreement. If people are gonna sign something to go for a public skate.
Yeah, that's why I wondered about the individual stuff, right? Yeah.
I think
Councillor Compton Hobbs.
as the past chair of CSR for 8 years, there's definitely user agreements with different groups. And like the mayor said, there was user group meetings held every fall. And as the past president of Lady Softball for 20-odd years, we had communication, letters, and maybe not agreement, but letters, dates, schedules, times, rates, whatever, right? So there has been agreements or letters in place. And you mentioned the dog park. There's definitely an agreement with the dog park. That was done with the past director, Dominic Demers, with the dog park committee. That should be on file. There was a MOU agreement, and there was always communication between the director and the committee, so that's definitely there. I wanted to ask 2 more questions. You didn't talk about it in your committee update, so
Then
I can ask
then you
it
can
after.
ask it after, yeah,
your
because we're dealing with the report.
Yeah.
Any other things that, okay, Councillor Rumble?
Sorry, just further to that, I think the whole reason for the discussion around user groups was, as the deputy said, just clarity, because I think the fact that, some, like when we do say some do, some don't, is just to have everybody on the same page. And, I can appreciate that we've had many directors over the years, Kevin Lane being one, but I think just to come into 2024, just to make sure that, I'm sure if I was to have a ongoing rental at the YMCA or something, there would be a user agreement, just, You know, I think that most facilities would do that, so I don't think it was anything, it was just an information finding for us, because these things came up in budget tax, so we just kind of said, I think somebody mentioned in the budget, is there a user agreement with the curling club? And it was just to get clarity, so it wasn't, you know, to say this is what we're doing, this is what we're not doing, it was just information finding more than anything.
Just to clarify, there's not an agreement, but I believe there's a policy around there was in the past, around the, maintenance and what have you with the curling club.
Well, the town owns the building, so I mean, it's us that,
Yes.
and I think in past years, in terms of, at times when I guess there weren't a lot of numbers and that kinds of stuff, the town has stepped in and that, but it is our facility, so from
Yeah,
that,
and
from
that
that
was
perspective.
our
But,
question
yeah, no,
was
good
like,
note.
you know, if
Good,
the
good,
toilet
yep.
is leaking,
Yep.
does somebody call CSR, or do they call the town hall, or do
Yeah.
they take care of those things
Okay.
themselves? We
All
just, we don't know, so we just wanted to ask the questions, just to gather information.
So, did you get the information, or you're in the process of getting it?
We didn't get the
Okay,
information, so hopefully
so,
we will.
Yep, okay. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I just
Nope.
wanna ask,
Councillor Winters?
you mentioned about the curling club, they have no user agreement and they pay no fees, is
They
that what
pay
you said?
no fees.
So the town basically is running the facility for free for a bunch, for, not a bunch,
Exactly.
whoever.
Yeah, but you gotta remember, their numbers are very, very low, still,
They're huge on Monday nights and on Thursday nights.
not huge.
Well,
Well, they got over.
Okay, folks, hang on now. Floor is Councillor Winters.
no, I was just asking
Yeah,
a
just-
question.
yeah.
Like, say, minor hockey has to pay, broomball has to pay, softball has to pay.
Yes.
And
Skeet, you
these
have-
are, like,
yep.
these are facilities, especially softball, where there's very minimal electricity, some maintenance, but then we're running an entire building strictly, like, managed by the town, and they're just using it for free.
No, and
Okay,
that's
so-
why I said it.
Yeah,
These things
okay,
came
so-
up in-
I just want to.
So,
They came
hold,
up in
we're not gonna go
budget
across the table,
conversations.
we're not gonna cross the table, because it's gonna get, from a listening perspective, gonna get too crazy, so just one at a time. So, that's something that should be addressed, I'm hearing around the table?
Well, just the reason it came to CSR was
Yep.
because it was mentioned in budget meetings.
Yep.
And there were takeaways from the budget
Okay.
meetings of, you know, could the chairs of these committees bring them back for further information so that when we go back into our next budget meeting, we have some information,
Okay.
so.
And do
yeah.
we have we have a tracker that tells us how much the curling club is costing us? Okay. Councillor Palmer, second.
Yeah, just to add, Councillor Broomfield, I understand what you're saying and the issue itself, but the difference, I think, with the curling club is town staff are not actually in that building taking care of the ice, taking care of the things that are happening inside the building. It's a bunch of volunteers. Whereas if you go to the ballpark, you got CSR staff that are preparing the fields, cleaning up at the arena, they're doing the ice and cleaning up around the arena. We don't have town staff working in that building.
They do go twice a day to check though, right?
To check the
ice
And- yeah, the plank.
Yeah,
Okay.
the plant, but we're
All
not
right.
actually going in and maintaining
Council-
the ice
Coun-
surface.
Okay, Councillor Compton Hobbs.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, if you check back, there should be some, written documentation, information around the, curling club and what maintenance and whatever. I don't know where it might be too, but it should be filed somewhere.
We're paying the insurance, we're paying the maintenance
Yeah.
costs, and we're operating the
the
facility.
But it's a 100-year-old building, and if you go in there, but the curling club, you know, nobody wants to close it. I
No,
mean,
we don't need to get into a debate about the curling club, we're just, I think that
For the
point was
purpose of
brought
the
forward.
report.
yeah.
And I mean, we need to know in terms of, you know, insurance-wise, like, does our insurance cover
100%.
the third-party playing part? So like if, for instance, someone was hurt playing curling, or like actually involved in a curling game, or does an insurance, like for instance in hockey, I'll use hockey.
So if we're not getting
If somebody,
into
just
debate,
one moment,
we
please.
shouldn't have
If,
insurance.
no, but what I'm trying to find out is about, in terms of running the building, our insurance cost. Like when someone registers for hockey, there's a portion goes to insurance. So if a child goes to get hurt playing hockey,
They have their
There's
own
some
personal
insurance.
liability
Right.
insurance.
so yes, there's no,
Curlers would have to
and
have their own.
that's what I'm wondering, but are they registered in like the Canadian Curling Association that would cover that, or does our insurance cover that as well? So that was one of the, that's a question I would like answered.
So I got
'Kay.
one
Yep.
answer and then one clarification.
Yep.
The town does not operate the curling club. The curling club group, whatever they're called, Goose Bay Curling Club, operates it similar to how the Eastern Labrador Arts Alliance operates the Lawrence Bryan Arts Center.
Mm.
The town's insurance covers the building facility, the curling club has liability insurance for their use.
Okay, that's perfect. All right,
Okay,
okay, we'll
now-
go one more here and then we'll,
Yeah,
bring closure to this.
Going to the insurance side of it, I know there was a ball banquet held this weekend, and they provided times to go out on the ice and try the game. Now, I'm just looking at who, the curling club has their own insurance, but this was the ball league renting the facility, or I don't know what the agreement is, signing it out, the building, but
Yeah.
whose insurance covers that?
Okay. All right, so that's an important question, so we can refer it back to committee. And just as, no, I won't, I'll ask after. Okay, any further discussion on the report? Okay, none being heard, all those in favor indicate with aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, we've accepted the report.
So can I ask any questions now around CSR?
Yes, you can?
Okay, so I'm surprised that there's zero discussion unless it happened and you don't have it in your report around the winter carnival. There's a policy in place. Why do we have a policy if we're not having a winter carnival? There should be a winter carnival every year. There's no, winter games. So was there no discussion around the winter carnival that should be held in March?
In my other business section of my report, the CSR director advised the committee of upcoming events, and a winter carnival was not mentioned, no.
So nobody on the committee brought forward or asked where the winter carnival was, or is it being organized, or?
We have in the past.
No, but like for now, like the winter carnival should be in 2 months.
There's no
Okay,
plan.
so then we'll, we
No
need to get that addressed.
discussion. So we have a policy in place. I
Yep.
mean, that's pretty sad if it's not been brought to the committee meeting to discuss. It should have been planned since probably back in October, reaching out to the community, getting volunteers and planning this huge event in March.
Okay.
So I assume it's not gonna happen this year. Unless it's gonna be a summer carnival.
Well, hopefully we'll have
I
some more
find
snow.
that very
It will-
disappointing and
It is.
disheartening.
If you would like it brought forward, it will definitely be, making
Yeah.
note of it now, it will definitely be
Why do we
discussed
have
at
a
the
policy in
February.
place if it's
meeting.
not gonna be followed, is my question, right?
It is this.
Okay, your next question.
My next question, and it
Just a
wasn't
second, I'll get
discussed, I didn't see it in your report, was the outdoor rink. Where is it? Why is it not up and running? Was it discussed in your meeting,
It was discussed in past meetings.
Past meetings.
like
it
this
has
one
been discussed.
last month?
Last month.
It was discussed, or last year? Was it
Uh,
discussed in January?
Not in January, no.
So no one brought that forward either to ask about it, or?
Repeatedly in October, November, and December.
Well, it's only been 2 weeks since you've been allowed to put ice down, really.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
had no snow.
No, I know,
No
but you
snow,
could've,
no
it
cold.
could've been planned for when?
100%.
January, right, when we do get snow or whatever, but so there's no, that's not gonna happen either again, probably, then, is it, or can you bring it forward? then?
I will bring that one forward in February as well.
Okay.
Mhm.
That was
Council-
my two questions.
That's something we're waiting on snow for.
Well, you can do it
Okay.
now.
You don't.
Okay,
Well, like,
No,
you
we're gonna stop the back and forth because it's too hard on the other end for people to hear.
Yeah.
All right,
But there's
Counselor,
enough snow now to
yep,
make a.
Counselor
outdoor
Winters.
Yeah, just going back to Councillor Cottonhop's question about the Winter Carnival. When was the last Winter Carnival in town? I'm just for clarification, because I know
2018.
a few years back, Scott Hughes and
2018, I think is the right one. 2018.
that was the actual last.
Yeah.
one,
2019 was the
18.
last
2018 was the last
winter
one.
18.
games,
Yeah.
and 2018 was the carnival.
Mhm.
There was, I can answer that, in
Yeah.
2020, there was a lot of planning, a planning committee, volunteers from the community, a lot of money spent. It was scheduled for March 2020. The day before we were having the weekend event, COVID hit, and everything was shut down.
Okay.
Cool, thanks.
That good for you?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any more questions on that? We're good? Okay. We're going to finance and minute policy. And that's on my, yes, finance and minute policy. Councillor Palmer.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Finance, Administration, and Policy Committee met on January 15th. Present were myself as chair, Councillor Haywood Broomfield, Councillor Todd Winters, Your Worship, George Andrews, the Mayor as ex officio, Chief Administration Officer Nadine McCauley, Superintendent of Assessment and Taxation Kelsey Shelswell, Director of Financial Operations Mike Dollamount, Community Development Manager Greg Osmond and Executive Assistant Kathy Eddy, who took the minutes. Meeting was called to order at 4:48 p.m. We reviewed the previous minutes and action items. There were no errors or omissions. With respect to the action items, committee discussed a number of delinquent accounts and directed staff to begin the process of initiating tax sales on a number of properties that have significant taxes and or interest owing to the town. We'll bring forward a recommendation on that shortly. Also, we had a discussion on taxing not-for-profit groups and organizations. As you know, Mayor, a draft copy of a policy was presented to committee as well as to yourself and other members of council in the fall. And I had indicated in the November meeting that staff was reviewing and would come back to council with recommendations and suggestions on how we can fine-tune that policy. That work is yet to be done. There is no revised policy on for not-for-profits. Also, we reviewed a number of requests for donations, requests for interest relief on accounts, as well as tax exemptions. And there'll be recommendations coming forward on those soon as well. In other business, committee reviewed information regarding a potential app for the town. The committee decided not to pursue, as the town's new website will have the capability to easily access, that can be easily accessed on a cell phone or other smart tablet. Committee received a letter from Minister of Health and Community Services, Tom Osborne, asking if the town would consider having its offices become distribution sites for naloxone kits. Committee agreed that the kits can be available at town facilities, several town facilities, as well as have the kits available for the municipal enforcement officers in their vehicles. There being no further business, the meeting adjourned at 6:01 p.m. The next committee meeting is scheduled for February the 19th at 4:45 p.m. With that, I move that the committee's report be accepted as read.
Thank you, Councillor Pomeroy. It's been moved by Councillor Pomeroy that we accept the Finance and Policy Committee report as presented. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Wallace. Discussion.
I got a question on the naloxone kits that the town is agreeing to put them in their facilities. Was there any mention, I didn't see anything on training, because that would have to come with training.
No, we would only
No,
be a place to pass them out, I think was the...
Distribution?
Yeah, someone could come in and get one.
Yeah. Not too
Like
late.
someone from a family perspective, or that's what they were
So
trying to
anybody
roll out.
could come in and get a naloxone kit?
Yeah.
From, like, the arena or the town? or-
Well, they were asking if municipalities would participate, and there wasn't any plans, but because they were trying to find out how many would
Locations for
agree.
people.
Yeah, where municipalities would
Was
agree.
there any criteria around it, like,
No, it's a provincial government program that they're trying to
had
roll
to
out.
be 19, or anybody can come in and get a
Well,
naloxone
that's the
kit?
whole idea
Well,
behind, wasn't it?
Thing,
Well, I would think they would want some training, or,
well, I mean, what I think the letter clearly asked us if we would be willing to participate in being a municipality that would disperse
Yeah.
the kits.
yeah.
And where and when and how hasn't been worked out. They were just looking from a number, from an ordering perspective, so.
I'm sure education will come following the.
Well, I would hope.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I don't, I think it's part of their program, province-wide to roll out, everywhere, right? Any other conversations? All right, one of the things is that I think, I'll save that for the actual recommendation, my comments on that one. All right, no further discussion. All those in favor indicate with aye. Aye. Contrary-minded? Passed. You have a number of recommendations, sir?
Thank you, Mayor. Donation request, Birch Brook.
Okay, point of order. Deputy
Sorry, I
Mayor?
have to declare a conflict as I'm an affiliate with the applicant.
Okay, so please have the record indicate that the Deputy Mayor is declaring conflict. She has a connection to the person who is requesting the funds. All right, so she's vacated her chair, gone to the gallery, as is the process. All right, sir, continue, please.
Donation request, Birch Brook. Finance, Administration, and Policy Committee recommends council deny a monetary donation request from Birch Brook Nordic Ski Club for the 23-24 season due to budget constraints.
Okay, it's moved by Councillor Pomeroy that we recommend that is recommended that council deny a monetary donation request from Birch Brook Nordic Ski Club due to budget constraints. Seconded by Councillor Brumfield, discussion? Councillor Pomeroy?
Yeah, I just want to add, as you know, our 2024 budget is not completed yet, and we have nothing to go by in terms of providing any donations at this point. So we're not in a position to provide a monetary donation at this point.
Yeah. Did you have your hand up?
Yeah.
Councillor Palmer, or Councillor Compton-Hobbs?
I was just gonna ask that, so, reason due to budget constraints, so is there no monies left in the, 23 budget for donations?
My understanding is that we can't use funds that carry over funds from 2023, is that correct?
There isn't any
There
there.
was none left in
Yeah.
the donation budget.
So because our budget is not done, we have nothing to compare
Well,
to offer a donation to this group.
we can't spend money that we don't know we don't
How
have.
shameful for this council not to have that budget done, me included.
It's not like we haven't spent a lot of time at it,
We
Councillor.
we shouldn't be, running into issues like this, in my opinion.
That's why we're meeting again this evening.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor indicate with aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Nay. Motion is passed. Okay, Deputy Mayor.
The next one, I need to declare a conflict.
Okay. Councillor Compton-Hobbs declaring a conflict and the reason?
I am the chair of.
Okay. And she's declaring conflict as she's the chair of the,
I'm on the organizing committee of the pancake.
okay,
That's her
she's on the
question.
committee. What?
We can
Oh,
ask
yes, indeed, yeah. All right, so Councillor Pomeroy.
Donation request, community pancake breakfast. Finance, Administration, and Policy Committee recommends council donate a 1-hour ice rental at the E.J. Broomfield Memorial Arena to the Happy Valley Goose Bay Housing Coalition Community Pancake Breakfast.
Okay, and just before, can you indicate that Councillor Compton-Hobbs to vacate her seat and go to the gallery? All right, it's moved by Councillor Compton-Hobbs and the FAP committee that we donate 1 hour ice time to the Happy Valley Goose Bay Housing Coalition
Point
Community
of
Pancake
order,
Breakfast.
Your worship, it
Sir?
should be Councillor Pomeroy, not Councillor Compton.
Oh, I'm so
Make the recommendation.
terribly sorry. Councillor Pomeroy.
Still there.
Yeah, I'm trying to do two things here. All right, so it is moved by Councillor Pomeroy that and the FAP committee that council donate 1 hour ice time to the HVGB Housing Coalition Community Pancake Breakfast. Seconded by? Seconded by Councillor Compton-Hobbs. Discussion? I'm looking at her right in front of me. That's what it is. Sorry, and she's not here, so she's not in conflict. Okay. Deputy Mayor Wallace.
Thank you.
Whew.
I just have a question.
Are we,
Is that what they requested, ice time?
just a point, so we're
Yeah,
she
did the
seconded.
deputy second, or did
No.
Councillor Rumble second?
She seconded. I have
I
discussion.
Okay,
Yeah.
because you said
He said come to me.
Oh, okay.
yes.
Okay.
Let's.
Let's set this straight.
Okay,
Councillor Rumbolt's the seconder.
thank you,
Gone to discussion now with Deputy Mayor Wallace.
thank you.
What was the request, ice time?
Okay, so they put in a request, and in the past, we provided up to $500 to a donation that helped purchase sausages for the breakfast and a hour ice time. Committee had discussion on it. Again, it goes back to the fact we have no money that's available right
Allocated,
now,
right?
right?
We don't have
And
any money to allocate.
so we don't have the money right now, and so we can't provide funds that we don't know whether we have or not. So, I mean, I have a problem with it too. I think that, it would be great if we can provide this funding. The consensus of the committee overall was that, we would provide ice time. Unfortunately, if there's a way we can find the money, I would gladly have no problem
I
supporting
can
it.
help. Can I ask?
Yep.
The way we allocate money from those funds, can we look at when they're actually going to be calendarized throughout the year? For example, if
Yeah.
we're giving funds out last year for something that's calendarized in 2024, say in June, why are we doing that in 2023?
Well, see, they, Deputy Mayor, so every
February
year,
2nd, I
they
think was their
put
date.
in a request, and pancake breakfast is held around the same time each year. Unlike other years, this year, we don't have our budget done by January 1st. And so if this was last year, we would have a budget allocation we could put to that. Right now, we don't.
But there's funds that were given last year, taking out of this budget, that could have given them money, because if we want to do it, we could have had it if we had it, that were given to a group that's not till later next year.
I'm not sure what you mean, like,
Yeah,
there
no.
was money taken out of last year's
Did
budget?
I say what it was?
Sure.
The Amelia Mountain graduates of June 2024 approved a check, I believe of $500, maybe $250, from the budget from 2023, which could have been held on to and waited till May, June, February, whenever.
Yeah,
But it came out of that budget that we could have given to any group that's requesting funds.
well, as the CAO just indicated, there is no money left in that budget.
But didn't
Because we gave money away.
didn't those funds come out of last year's, the request came in last year, right? Yeah.
The graduates of 2023 applied, and
What?
the graduates of 2024 applied.
Yes,
In
and
the
they were,
same calendar year,
and
we
it
gave
did-
money from last year's budget
that's right, and
to
that was an
next year's
issue,
grads.
that was an issue the last meeting, and it wasn't only that, it was the library as well.
Library as
Yep,
well, we
we
gave
did that,
two
yeah.
amounts of $5,000
All within the one fiscal year.
from 2023, from the same fiscal year. So it's mismanaged. We're not even looking at when people are needing it. I guess when they're applying is crucial too, because if they're late, you can't give it away. But if you're giving away 2 lots of $5,000, that's our biggest donation coming out of this one, which is
We
kind of
only did
strange
one
too.
last year, wasn't
We did 2.
it? One.
And then we did 2 amounts for the high school graduates last year, which they applied in May, and graduates this year for 2024 that applied in November, which could have waited and allowed a little bit of money or a little bit of,
No, totally agree,
Finance,
and that was very confusing for me when I came on as chair, to see
bet.
that there were 2 amounts for two different,
But you were on that committee last year,
finance?
weren't you on that committee?
No, sir.
Okay, good.
and I might be wrong, and maybe it's not
Regardless of
gonna
what-
be
Okay, so-
allocated or given next year,
okay.
till next year.
Go to Councillor Brumfield.
I'm gonna go on something different, because we did mention this on the actual meeting. There's so many committees here in this town, not set up for this, set up for that. Really, what is this committee set up for? What's its purpose? That's my question.
Which one?
The housing, Happy Valley Goose Bay Housing Coalition Community Committee.
You might have to ask the chair.
We can't, should be in conflict.
You
So
can ask
like
them.
I indicated, like, I know they're involved in a number of housing initiatives throughout the community. They help people find housing,
So instead of
right?
being under presumption and making assumptions, can we ask the question, have staff find out from the appropriate sources
Mhm.
and
We
report it
asked
back
that
to?
at the meeting as
Yeah.
well, because there was a letter that was sent.
Yeah.
And we had asked staff to reach out to the person who had written the
And
letter.
apparently she's
to get
not
some more
involved.
Information, whether that's been done or not, I can't
But
answer that question.
apparently the comment was that she's not involved in that committee
I
anymore?
have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know, that was the comment that was
I
made.
can only go by who wrote the letter.
Yeah.
And ask staff to go back to the person who wrote the letter and get some more
For some more
information.
information, yeah, true
Whether that's
indeed.
been done or not, I can't answer that question right now.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Good.
absolutely.
Any other discussion? Okay, none being heard, I will, for all those in favor, indicate with aye. Contrary-minded, passed. And Councillor Compton-Hobbs, you can return to the chamber. Just wait for her now, and we can go on to the next one. All right, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Interest relief, parcel ID 079786 and parcel ID 786,001. Finance and Administration and Policy Committee recommends council deny the request for interest exemption for parcel ID 079786 and 0797866001 for taxation years 2018 to current.
Just a point of order, and I'm going to ask for direction from CAO. Can we do these together, or do we have to do them separate?
They're they're the same property, one is property tax, one is business tax.
Do we do,
Same property, same.
so
owners.
can we deal with them in the same recommendation, or do we have to do them separate? Okay. All right, so it has been moved by Councillor Pomeroy and the Finance and Minimum Policy Committee that we deny the request for interest exemption on parcel 07 ID 079786 and parcel ID 079786,001 for tax years 2018 to current. Seconded by Councillor Rumbold. Discussion. No discussion? Okay, all those in favor indicate with aye. Aye. Contrary-minded? Passed. Next one, sir?
Interest relief, parcel ID 078995 and parcel ID 078996. Finance and Administration Policy Committee recommends council deny the request for interest exemption for parcel ID 078995 and 078996 for the tax years 2017 to current.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Pomeroy and the Finance Administration and Policy Committee that we deny the request for interest exemption for parcel 078995 and 078996 for tax years 2017 to current. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Wallace. Discussion? Councillor Compton-Hobbs?
Is this parcel ID, can you tell us what this parcel ID is? Is this a nonprofit organization?
No.
So they've presented to us before.
Yeah, 'cause I can't,
They've presented to us before, requesting the same, tax relief. And I believe, the last time they presented, there was gonna be a policy in place? That policy is not done yet, right?
just to, no, Councillor, just to add to, just to note that, I believe this is for the Labrador Hunting and Fishing Association, correct? Is not?
No.
No.
So I'm
This is
trying
a
to confuse
business.
here because
I am
there's,
too. That's why I asked, I thought it was
It's
nonprofit.
right here. No.
In our council
It's in your
package,
package.
it's a
It's
business.
a commercial property
Yeah.
Yeah.
owned by a business. And what they're asking for is interest exemption relief,
Yes.
not tax relief.
Is the three of them, a commercial?
These two, in item D, there's two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The item above it was a different property, different business.
okay, wait.
so which one was the hunting and fishing one?
We're not
We
there
haven't
yet.
gotten
Not
to
next
that.
one.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're still doing D?
Yeah, that's the motion.
I thought you said you were doing them together.
We are.
Doing
No,
C,
there's
and
property
There's
and.
two
But there's
C.
two together, right?
And
Yeah.
there's two in D.
Yeah.
Okay, two in
That's why I asked if we could do them together, right? Not, no, I mean, in terms of property and business. All right, so, any further discussion? Okay, none heard. All those in favor indicate with an eye. Aye. Contrary-minded? Passed.
Okay, thank you,
Next,
Mayor.
sir.
Tax release, parcel ID 275895 and 275895002. The Finance Administration and Policy Committee recommends council deny the request for tax relief.
Okay, it's moved by Councillor Pomeroy and the Finance and Policy Committee that we deny tax relief for parcel ID 275895 and 275895002. Seconded by Councillor Winters. Discussion. Councillor Pomeroy.
Yes, this is the one that I mentioned earlier from the hunting and fishing group in town. And just to go back, Mayor, there was a commitment that was made to the Hunting and Fishing Association back in August meeting that the town was working on developing a policy regarding not-for-profits and taxation. That policy has not been finalized yet, and so the commitment was made that before any decisions were made regarding not-for-profits, that these applications would be deferred until a policy was put in place. So there's still no policy in place, yet we're going to have a vote on this recommendation, which I think, you know, with the absence of policy, which would make it clear for everybody and it's fair for everybody. Right now, we're just picking and choosing, and I think we need to have a clear policy in place, and in this case, we don't. So, even though I brought forward a recommendation, I will not support it.
And so, all right, so are you making the motion or not making the motion?
I made the motion.
Okay, so it's moved by Councillor Pomeroy.
We already,
Yep.
just a point of order.
Yep.
I made the motion. It
Yep.
was seconded. We went into discussion.
Yep.
So there's no other motion to be made.
Okay, so any further discussion?
I just wanna add.
Just a second, Deputy Mayor Wallace, please.
I'm in agreement as well. I realize that maybe a letter has come forward, but I thought until we may have a policy sound and complete and confirmed, we were not going to put any recommendations forward on these.
Councillor Compton Hobbs?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing, and this group has been here several times. So I think, you know, we should get that policy, should be a priority for this council. It was sent out, a draft copy,
Yeah.
but it hasn't been finalized, so we need to,
So the draft policy that was sent out didn't include a policy. If you read the policy that was sent out,
I'll
all
have
it
to
said,
object to that.
excuse me, I have the floor, just a moment, please.
'Cause I don't think you read it.
I have the floor, Councillor Pomeroy. That policy just said that we would meet and discuss each individual case. That's why we're in the problem we are here now. For years and years, nonprofits have been treated, some have been treated one way, some have been treated another way. It's not an easy fix. We have talked about it collectively as council a number of times. But there is no way that we can come up, or we haven't been able successfully so far, hopefully there's a way, that we turn around and we say nonprofits are treated this way. Not this nonprofit's treated one way, this nonprofit's treated another way. So the thing is that if we sit and meet each time as the proposed policy that came out discussed, not having a fixed policy, then we're right back to where we are. We sit down as a group. Everybody and anybody who has an attachment around a table to a particular group comes out on one side. The others come out on another side. So we haven't got a policy. We've tried and we continue to try to come up with a policy.
But
So
I don't think we've tried enough.
because
to
they've
it.
asked another. Well,
I mean, like, I don't even think.
absolutely. We've
I don't
had the
think
discussion.
we, as a council, had a discussion on it.
What on?
And not since this
on
draft
not-for-profits?
policy that was put forward.
But have
There
you?
was no
Has anybody
discussion
else
on it.
read the draft policy?
There was a dis-
So what is your opinion of the draft policy? It wasn't a policy. Thank you. So in order to have that policy,
find that insulting.
this is well. I
It's
can't.
insulting because I develop policy all the time, and this is, you tell me this is not a policy or something's not worth the discussion? That is
I'm not.
fair.
There's nothing not
I'm
worth.
asking
We
for
have said.
discussion on the policy. We have not had it. You
Yeah.
will not entertain one. sir.
But you not me. For you to turn around and say you issued a policy, Councillor Pomeroy, that's not a policy.
It's a
What you?
draft.
It's
It was a
not.
draft,
It's
so
not
I
even a
asked
draft.
for
It's
discussion
exactly
on it.
what we have now, sir.
But we don't
Read
even
what
have that.
we do. We have a policy to say we'll meet and discuss.
Policy was
Somebody will
said-
put in an exemption. Someone will put in an exemption request. We sit and meet. We can't come to a decision. Somebody else comes in and puts it in, and we don't have a decision.
you're
But we
right.
help.
This
So
Mayor, this council rescinded the policy that was.
absolutely, because
So
it
there's
wasn't a
no policy
policy.
in place right now.
Absolutely.
Why is this here?
It
Why
wasn't a
do we need a
policy.
recommendation?
It's a request because it says that the request, you must make a year-to-year request. And that's,
policy is
so
no
the
longer in
problem we have is, we have difficulty in treating all of not-profits the same. Because like I said, just a moment, we are treating one this way and we're not treating one this way, and then we can't make a decision on this one. That's not a policy.
No, but we
Councillor
need to have a
Compton Hobbs.
policy.
I
Yeah,
was
okay,
just gonna
sorry.
say, I think
Okay.
it's fair to say that, we did receive an email with a draft policy that we did not ever sit down and discuss as a.
But have you
council
read the,
whole.
but have you read it?
I've read it, yes.
It doesn't, what does it say? It doesn't say anything about what we're going to do. It says we're going to meet and talk, which
Well,
is
that's
exactly what
that's
we're
the
doing
next
now.
step, meet and talk, and then edit.
No,
edit
but
on,
that's the
revise.
policy. That's the policy.
There's information in there for us to move forward on.
No, it says we will meet and discuss, the policy, the draft policy that was passed around in October says we will sit as a council, when someone's request comes in, we will sit and meet and discuss it.
Based
That's
on.
where, no, that's where we are now. That's what we were dealing with all along. That's why we can't move forward. Councillor
Here's my
Brumfield.
whole problem with this. Council Compton House just made a comment there that basically these people are keeping coming back and back and back. Here's my issue or my concern when that happens. We have a guy right now who's in charge of this committee. He was a former councillor, and he's keeping coming back until he gets what he wants. That's the end of the story.
He's told to come back and apply every year.
The policy,
The
yes, you're right.
policy
Well,
that says you
that's
have
been
to
the,
come back
that's
and
been the
apply.
past procedure, absolutely.
I
So,
don't think that's a
you know,
fair statement, because we have other people that keeps coming back too.
okay, guys,
That we're not ever on
excuse me, but we'll keep the decorum right. So what we need to do, and what we've tried several occasions, I mean, for the last 2 years, we've talked about not-for-profits. We've met with not-for-profits, we've tried to go back, we can't come up with a way to treat everybody the same.
But we need to find a way.
Oh, no question, but, well, we
So, I
haven't
mean, the
have
first
success
part-
for the
part
first
is
2
to
years.
Develop a policy, and then
Yep.
without the absence of council looking over any draft It's not the end of the, like, our policies are subjected to be scrutinized and to be enabling. This policy can be enabling if we want to make it work. And we haven't sat down and had that discussion. The only discussion, Your Worship, is like, have you read the policy? This from your phone. I mean, we never sat down as a council to talk about a policy.
But that would come through committee, Councillor
I
Pomeroy.
brought up at the committee last
You're-
time, and we're having the same conversation.
But you're at the
tonight
chair
that
of
we
that
did at
committee now.
committee.
You're
I
in the
brought it
chair.
forward. I've asked, and I said in my opening remarks,
Yeah.
that we need to come back with a policy or a draft that we can work from.
Yeah,
Right now, that's a policy. What you're saying is the draft is now good.
I never said that.
But
What I'm
it's
saying
not
to you,
enabling,
that's not a
you're saying.
policy.
It's not a policy.
But it's
Okay.
not a policy.
It's
Read
not a
it.
policy.
It's not a
Okay,
policy.
It's not a policy. It's your opinion, but that's fine.
No, but you, if you're setting a policy, you're giving direction for people that they have to follow.
It's a draft.
There is no direction. All your
Your worship,
your
you're
draft
wasting
policy.
time
But
arguing over silliness.
well then, but it's
Because
not
just
silliness,
a
sir.
draft.
It's not
I'm asking
silliness
the council
because
to
there's
review
groups
the
out
draft
here that are being
and come
treated
back with
different.
comments from staff.
There's
That's
groups
all
that
I'm
are
asking.
being treated different.
So, it's not be treating different. no.
Absolutely, and that's
We
not
need to
fair.
be fair to everybody.
Is
We
there a
can't
way,
be-
even though this is on here as a recommendation, is there a way we can remove that or hold it? Just
Well,
You can
the
vote
thing
against
the
it
thing
or
is
vote
that
for it.
they can come to us. Anybody can come to us with their exception
Yeah,
request
But why is it a
You
recommendation?
can amend it and defer
because
it.
that's what they did.
Yeah, but see, we reduced
Just
the
hold
mill
it.
rate for
Yeah.
the nonprofits, charitables.
But just delay it until we come to a decision on what our process will be, and then.
But
bring
we've been
all-
we've been 2 years.
What it is now for nonprofits, 4 million.
4 mills. Yep.
So, we gotta look at that again, and we're not all agreements to it.
But that's not the policy, right?
No, that's just something this council put in place for the time being, right? From
No,
8 mills to 4.
No. This is the mill rate that we put in place for nonprofits.
Right,
Yeah, we've reduced it
yeah. to
because it
4
wasn't
mills,
reduced.
yeah.
Yeah. But I'll like I say, I mean, we've tried, we continue to try, but we cannot sit down and make and I don't know, maybe we go to an outside group and come up with some solutions as well. Councillor Rumble.
I just think, like, to the mill rate point, that was our attempt at that time to solve this issue. It was like, okay, if people are experiencing financial hardship, we'll slash it in half, 50%, down to 4 mills. And we thought at that time, because we were spinning wheels, how do we resolve this? So we thought, okay, by slashing this mill rate, this will relieve some of that financial hardship, and it will eliminate these letters coming in for the requests. So that was our attempt at that time. Obviously, it didn't work, but that was the hope. The hope was, we understand you're experiencing financial hardship. How about we cut it right in half, and that will help.
But
So,
even
most-
non-for-profits that are not experiencing financial hardship can avail of the 4%, correct?
Absolutely. That was
Oh,
the mill
yes.
rate
It
for
wasn't just for
not-for-profit.
hardship.
No, that was the mill
So-
rate
but
for
no, but the
not-for-profit.
hope, the
But-
intent, I should say, was to
Because
alleviate some
that's
of
what
that
was
hardship.
presented to us.
Most nonprofits don't have money.
Right, well, that's
So
what
4
was
mills is
presented.
not working for
Yeah.
anyone.
But keep in mind, that was from they still paid the property portion. That's the business portion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I say, it's not an easy fix. And I mean, like I say, we can start and look again. I don't know what the answer will be because it's the same situation. Everyone is different. Everyone is unique in that not-for-profit group. And then all of a sudden, the not-for-profit group increases. And at the end of the day, I mean, how do you treat it?
Well, I
And
don't
we've
think we
had that
should
conversation.
dismiss what Councillor Pomeroy sent. We should have
It's what we have now, Councillor Compton-Hobbs.
a discussion as a whole.
Absolutely.
We should sit down
But
and-
it's what, it should start
That's
at
a
committee.
start.
Start at committee and then come with recommendation.
And it was brought
But
to
it's the
I
committee
think
in
it's so
November.
important that all of council should be involved in this discussion.
Well, your recommendations
Just
through
3
council.
committee members.
But no, but the way the council process works is all the council votes on it, but we don't develop the policy in the
Or
back
We don't
room.
get no discussion or, you know.
No, because then you're having a conversation in the back room and your decision are
Doesn't
made.
matter. This one is so
Well,
huge.
well,
it's
no.
So,
It does matter.
nobody got an answer for it.
No?
So, come on, all the council, we're all elected here to discuss these, issues when they come before
We're
us.
elected to follow, so we don't want to go in the back room and make decisions,
Well, I think
so
there
people
needs-
don't. No, there's a process.
I don't agree with you.
Well, that's fine.
This is all a council discussion.
Okay. But then that goes against the rules of what we're supposed to be operating under,
There's things that
and the
goes
training
against
that we've
rules at
taken.
times, Mayor, that, this is important. We need to put it to bed, we need to figure it out, so put all our
So
heads
do we
together.
take everything from council and put behind closed doors?
Mayor, I don't know what you're getting at there.
I'm not getting it, you're the one who's bringing it forward.
Yeah, I'm talking about a policy for nonprofits. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about everything.
No, but what I'm saying is the way it works is committee develops policy, or works to develop, we get to look at it as council and make the recommendations made, and we make the decision.
So
That's the way it all
obviously,
works.
the committee can't come to a conclusion on this.
Well, there's a
so
new
come
committee
on,
now.
let's get together.
There's a new committee now.
Put our head together and get something done.
The draft policy was presented in November's meeting, and again in January, and nobody has responded to it yet.
So go outside
So-
the committee.
It's true. There's been no response whatsoever,
I thought as
Nobody.
council, we were gonna meet as a whole.
except the mayor saying it's not a policy.
To
But
discuss it.
read it,
Really, it's not.
and Councillor Brumfield saying the same thing.
You got
It's
some
not.
things in there, but it's really, it's not a policy.
Oh, okay.
If somebody's looking for policy, they're
a
looking for
draft.
direction.
It's
They're
a
looking for
draft.
direction of where they need to go, what
It's
they need to
enabling.
do, right?
Anyway,
Not that council will sit down and discuss. That's
I think
where we are
we're
now.
Beating it to death.
Oh, absolutely.
So all of
But everybody
council-
needs to have a say.
My comment
Having
in line,
input.
that everyone here is gonna keep coming back to you for looking for
Yeah.
a hand that basically what they're doing.
until we got something in place, we're always gonna be having this discussion.
Okay, Councillor,
Yes, this was on the go since we started on council, and I think the best thing that we came up with, that we would task the staff and find something, some means of ways of a checkbox. Basically, if you sign off, if you have membership, if you get federal funding, if you get provincial funding, that sort of way, and then look at that in a manner of, okay, yes, they need financial assistance or they need relief. That sort of thing would be more along the policy of you looking, okay, if there's 10 criteria that they meet, then they get the relief. But again, it's a very difficult subject.
It is.
I mean, it's not an easy solution, and like you said, like what you said, Mayor, is maybe looking at an outside source and seeing who could develop something for it. Yeah, and I appreciate the work that
Yeah.
Councillor Pomeroy put into his efforts. And again, yeah, we do need to discuss it more. I also agree with Deputy Mayor Wallace in saying, okay, maybe we should defer until we do, instead of deny, defer until we do have a policy in place.
So we need to amend the.
so you can't amend contrary motions. So,
point of order.
yeah, you can't amend the contrary. You can't change the intent of a motion to be contrary.
Well, what we can do is we can vote against this policy or.
Pardon me? Yeah, you can, yeah, absolutely. If that's the will of council,
Yeah.
what we can do is,
Vote on it.
right. But the only thing is that, again, or it can be,
When they vote
no,
it
it's already
down,
moved
it
and
can come
seconded, so it
back
has to be
again.
voted on. Point of order, yep, CO?
Sorry, I just have a couple of comments. This policy was revised several years ago with, I think it was the 11th council perhaps, based on the fact that there were a lot of issues coming forward and it was difficult to discern, and so they wanted to come up with some criteria. The criteria that's listed there, how many volunteers, how many paid employees, where you get your funding, your annual financial statements, all that was developed in the new policy to help prevent some of this, I guess, confusion going forward. On the previous council, staff presented at least 2 draft policies, if not 3, based on feedback from councillors, and none of them were accepted. So we had asked that then council tell us what they want and we can put it together. And when this council came on, that was kind of the same message where we're at. We can't get a criteria list to put in place, so I believe when Councillor Rumble was the chair of the Finance Committee, the talk and decision at that time was to reduce the mill rate for the business tax and to eliminate that exemption policy for this purpose.
Yep.
And the reduction of the mill rate was approved, but the what's it called, rescinding of the policy for exemption was not approved.
It's not approved.
So now a year later, we're still in the
We're still in the
process that we were.
So since 2011. So it's not an easy issue. And you know, I mean, there's a lot of people sat around this table and had discussions, I'm sure, on this exact thing and how you actually do it. And, you know, that conversation that we had around the table about reducing the mill rate was what we thought was going to be, but obviously we still need more work.
I do believe, Your Worship.
Yes, sir.
in 2013 or whatever, at that point, a lot of these not-for-profits were not being taxed anyway. And it was brought forward at that time because there were some not-for-profits
Only business tax, though,
that
wasn't it?
were felt that they should have
Property
been
tax?
taxed because they, you know, financially they were well off.
Yeah.
And that was where the discussion came from in terms of development. Up to that point, the town did not issue any
For some.
taxes whatsoever to not-for-profits.
For some though, right?
Issue, they're all
Last
just
few
being
years.
taxed.
Yeah,
It's only been
but
the last
some,
3 or 4
yeah, some
years.
were tax business, or property tax, but there was no business tax.
It's only been the last 3 or 4 years or so
Yeah.
that's
They've
happened,
been picked up on the roll.
right? Probably 2021.
Yeah, and that's the thing, so if you had somebody come in from a permit perspective, municipal assessment would pick it up that way, right? And that's how most of these got up to, and not just permits, but I guess in their general MAA stuff. Once it gets on the roll, the only thing for us is exemption.
Yeah.
So, but how do you treat it fair, so?
And most not-for-profits don't own property, or they haven't historically
Yeah.
owned a lot of property here, and I think that's why they were overlooked on the roll.
At
Yeah.
that time,
I
yeah.
Whereas
understand.
now, there's more and more being picked up,
Yep.
so.
Okay.
So it wasn't an issue. in
So,
fact.
so like I say, the commitment is still there to try to find a way, but obviously, if we've been working on this, and probably previous to 2011, work's been done, I don't know what the answer is, so we can put it back to committee to start the conversations again, to see if there's a solution forward, or we can look to an outside source of, say, a group of people.
May I suggest
Yep.
that the finance committee have a special one agenda item meeting?
Yep, it's a good idea.
And we can
Outside
go
of-
through whatever.
Yeah,
Good? Does the
We can make
finance
the
committee,
we can
okay,
make
so,
the policy
so
a
before,
policy.
before we do that, the motion's on the floor here. Like, to me, whether we deny it or remove it, it really doesn't matter, because they could come tomorrow again with another request. If we turn this down today,
Oh, yeah.
they could come tomorrow. There's no limit on coming kind of deal, so. Well, no, but I mean, and they should, because I mean, they're, you know, it has been a policy that's been in place in the past for certain groups, so why wouldn't they? And, you know, I think that's fair. The only thing is, the onus should be on us, you know, to try and come up with that final solution. Okay, I'll give the last word on this to Councillor
Okay.
Rumble.
Thank you. Just had one, because I'm starting to get a little bit confused. So when the motion has been made, and I just wanted to read it, that committee recommends council deny the request for tax relief. When I vote, if you say all in favor and it passes, then we have denied the request.
That's correct.
If you say all in favor and we have more contrary-minded, more nays, that's not the same as passing it, right? So a motion to deny that is not passed, where does this motion?
Well, we've been
go
there,
then?
we've been there several
Yes.
times.
Yes.
We've been there several times,
Yeah.
because then there's nothing done. Remember, they had to
Right,
reapply
it
and
has
stuff
a
like that.
boomerang effect,
So
right?
for me, I think the easiest thing would be to deny this request. It puts this to bed, this particular item, but then opens up the door then for committee to, well, the committee can do it anyway. But then if we do come up with another policy, they can apply again. But if we deny this one, if we deny the deny, it just sits in,
Okay, so denying
Purgatory.
the deny is not approved,
Yes.
it's just leaves it in
Yeah.
purgatory.
right,
Okay.
which
That's
then
what I was
really
trying-
doesn't do anything. They'd have to
Because
come
the
back.
policy is not there, not recommending
Exactly.
council support a tax relief.
Right.
We're denying it.
Right,
I mean,
okay, that's what I was trying to wrap my head
It's
around,
kind of like a
thank you.
backwards way of doing things.
All right,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
I'm going to put one last
Had
item.
we
That's
not
it.
had a seconder, we could have amended to.
No, you can't amend, you can't amend a friendly amendment to a motion that puts it in contrary to what the motion was.
We've done it before.
Well,
Not the contrary.
Not
I don't think you can do a friendly one, but you
The way
can't
it's
change.
worded, If it was worded differently.
Yeah, but if you were gonna say to, well, and deny is pretty,
Before the seconder is what I'm saying, though, right? If we had it done before we had the seconder, we could have had a friendly amendment.
well, no, you'd had a new motion.
So just if the motion was worded, the council supports the request, is that a friendly amendment?
That's what I'm.
I
No.
think that would be a friendly amendment.
No,
No, you're
because
going
deny is
counter to what
100%,
you were saying.
it's 100% around. It's contrary to minded, 180
All I just
degrees.
asked to put it to a vote right now, that's all. That's all you have to do.
Oh, that's what I'm gonna do. So,
Yeah.
discussion, any further discussion? That adds anything else that we haven't spoke to?
Just briefly, because
one-
I know
one
we're
la-
going on this for a while, I know. So pretty much the not-for-profit mill rate was reduced from 8% to 4%,
Yes.
right? And they only
Mm-hmm.
pay the property portion.
Mm.
So with this, really, there is no tax relief. So if we say we did go to a vote and whatever, and then there's just tomorrow they'll apply again, tomorrow they'll apply again,
Yep.
tomorrow.
And that's,
So there's
that's,
no
but that's the way,
point in
but that's the way it is. But right now, we have a motion that's been moved and seconded that say that we deny. So if we deny, if we accept it, we deny that request for now. So tomorrow they could come in again, sort of deal. If you deny this motion, then it's basically the same result. There is no, we've denied their request. We've accepted their, we haven't supported the request,
Yeah,
we've just
that's
kept
right.
that motion like we did. Remember we had a donation that was like that?
Yes, we do.
And it kept, and they had to come back 2 or 3 times?
Can I just ask that the CAO get clarification on this after the meeting or next week?
For what?
Because this do get confusing when you make a motion and there's no other outcome other than.
Well, that's the purpose of the motion. You want the yes or no.
What, exactly?
Because we're having the same discussion we had 2 or 3 times this year regarding the wording, like council didn't deny. So if you deny, it's not an automatic acceptance, correct?
Right.
No, no, it's not.
So just to be clear, I just
There
wanted.
isn't, it isn't a yes or no.
Yeah,
We're saying no.
all right.
Okay. Okay, so all those in favor of denying the tax request for parcel ID 275-895 and 275-895-002 indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary-minded? You've put it right where we,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so to deny the motion has been denied, so there is nothing, they'll have to apply again, just like last time. Right on, okay. That's interesting. Okay, so, next motion, next recommendation, sir.
Tax sale. The Finance Administration and Policy Committee recommends council start the process of a tax sale on parcel ID 079696.
All right, so it's moved by Councillor Pomeroy and the Finance Administration Policy Committee that the council start the tax sale process on parcel ID 079696. Moved by Councillor Pomeroy, seconded by Councillor Brumfield. Discussion? Councillor Brumfield.
I'm not convinced I like the word start the tax sale
Yeah.
process, so I think we should put it in there that, get our lawyers to start the process or something.
Well, that's part of the process, isn't it?
I think that was the
Starting the
discussion, I think that was the discussion in the committee, was that we go to legal to get the, and I think this
They
is the
would
way
have
to,
to do the
this is the way the
paperwork
wording,
required.
this is the way the wording came out in the motion, but the intent was to go to legal
Start the
and get
process.
the, what do we have to do? Because in the Municipalities Act,
Yeah, I know.
well, yeah, you have to issue a date.
Yes.
And once that date is passed, then through resolution of council to staff, they can start the advertisement. So,
May I ask, where can I see the address of this?
address
Or
It's in the
where,
package.
where in the
Yeah.
package is it?
Council pack.
Yeah.
It's in the package.
in the, under finance and admin.
I just got a question.
Yep.
Is there a time frame on?
There has to be a time
There would
frame
be a time frame
established.
that would be
And
set.
that would be part of that lawyer process, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming the first stage would be a demand letter
Well, the
from a
Municipalities
lawyer.
Act lays out clearly that the town has the authority, with the town has first lien on any properties that has taxes outstanding. And the town has the authority under Municipalities Act to start the process of tax sales or auctioning off those properties to recover its arrears.
Once,
right
once
there
the
in the
date is passed.
It's right in the act that the
Yep.
town can do that. How the process works, if we have, if we engage legal or write whatever necessary letters that are required, then this is what we do. But
Yep.
that we have the authority to do that under the Municipalities Act. It doesn't require a motion of council.
It does. It says by motion of council.
Only after.
No, it says by motion
We
of
have
council.
We have the authority to do it, is what I'm saying.
Oh, we have to, yeah,
Don't
but,
need the lawyer to tell us we can do it. We know.
no, but to write the stuff, and that was the conversation. But the piece in the Municipalities Act says that after that date has passed, by resolution of council,
Then we have to move forward
Yeah.
with accepting or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yep.
through an open bid or auction, however we
Yep.
do it.
no, it's public auction.
Yeah.
It states it in there.
Public auction.
Yeah.
Sealed bids, public
Okay.
auction.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, discussion wise? Okay, all those in favor indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary-minded? Passed. Next one, sir.
Tax sale, Finance Administration Policy Committee recommends council start tax sale process on parcel ID 079697.
Okay, it's moved by Councillor Pomeroy in the Finance and Admin and Policy Committee that we commence the tax sale process on parcel ID 079778 and 0797780001. Why would we tax
No,
sale?
you're at the wrong one. You're at
Look
the-
at G.
Oh, sorry, yes, okay. I was going to say, why were we doing the business? Recommends this tax sale process on parcel ID 079697. Okay, seconded by? Councillor Winters, discussion. Same sort of process, right?
Yep.
All right, discussion, any further discussion? All those in favor indicate with aye. Aye. Contrary-minded? Passed. Next one, sir.
Okay, tax sale, the Finance Administration and Policy Committee recommends council start tax sale process on parcel ID 079778 and 0797780001.
So as a point of order here before we go to the next step, why would we be tax saling the business portion of the taxes? Wouldn't that be automatically applied from the proceeds of selling the parcel?
You're included in it.
So it should only be on the parcel, I'm assuming, right?
Tax sale
There's-
of property, yeah.
Property.
Yeah. And then if there's subsequent taxes owed, they're recovered from, yeah. So can we remove the 0797780001? Are you okay?
Aren't they adjoining
That's a friendly
Just the
amendment.
tenant
That's the business tax.
Of the property.
Yeah.
the tenant portion of the property?
Yeah. So we can't
I can't make
sell
it, so.
The business, no.
the operation,
Yeah.
the operations of it?
We can sell the property.
We can sell the building, we can sell the building.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not the
Yeah, yeah.
business.
Yeah,
can't
we-
sell the
yeah.
business.
So I can't make the friendly amendment, but if somebody wants, that's an example of a friendly amendment, to take out that business portion.
I'll make a,
Okay, I got him making it, and you second? So
Yeah.
Councillor Brumfield will make it, Councillor Compton Hobbs will second.
Okay,
You accept?
I'll accept.
Thank you. All right, so the motion now will be that we commence the Finance and Policy Committee recommends the council start the tax sale process on parcel ID 079778. Okay, and it's been seconded. Any further discussion? I think it's important that we just recognize that we need to, as we've taken this pretty good stance in terms of moving forward on collecting delinquent debt, and you know, we that money, you know, we're that money is that we have to borrow that offsets that cost that we're not getting has to come from existing revenue and interest and that kinds of stuff. So we're taking a stance on that. All right. Any further discussion?
Yeah, just
Yes, sir.
Just wanted to add, you're exactly right, Mayor. I mean, we have a lot of outstanding taxes owed to the community, to the town, and here we are, as it came up earlier, we're having issues with our budget and trying to get things under control, and we're unable to provide donations to certain groups because of budget constraints, and yet we have property owners in this community that owe the town hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that is, and it's time that they pay up. And as simple as that. Whatever process we gotta do to get them to pay up, then we do it. I mean, enough is enough. We shouldn't be in a situation we're in and be owed, I think we're owed well over $2 million overall. And the $2 million can go a long ways in balancing budgets and doing projects in this community. And enough is enough. I think it's time to crack down. I don't care who they are. Crack down and get the job done.
Yep.
Get the money that's owed to the taxpayers of this community.
And I think it's fair to say, though, that some of that $2 million is current tax money, right? Current tax, or is that our AR? Is that our AR balance or our
That would be,
past
accounts
taxes?
receivable?
Yeah, but that would include current year taxes too, right?
No,
No, that's
twenty
past.
twenty-four is not billed yet.
That's arrears.
Okay.
It's owing.
Yeah, so that's a huge number, so. And that will only increase if we don't, right? All right, further discussion? Okay, all those in favor indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary-minded? Passed. Okay, and just on a side note of that, reading the Municipalities Act, the municipality is eligible to, through an agent, to also bid on those processes, so, in a public auction. Okay, so moving on down the list, to Municipal and Protective Services, Deputy Mayor.
Lovely, thank you. The Municipal and Protective Services Committee held its meeting on Tuesday, January 9th at 4:45. Present was myself, Deputy Mayor Ella Wallace, Councillor Jackie Compton Hobbs, Councillor Todd Winters, Mayor George Andrews, CAO Nadine McCauley via telephone, Director of Protective Services Brad Butler, Superintendent of Public Works Randy Chambers, Superintendent of Water and Sewer Keith Pye, and Executive Assistant Kathy Eddy. Regrets, Director of Engineering Randy Dillon. The meeting was called to order at 4:43. Agenda was approved with no additional items, and review of minutes revealed no errors or omissions. Action items and discussions around preparing and designing a new design for a fire hall. The town engineer is working on an RFP with view to complete the design by summer 2024. First land options are to be presented to council for site selection. And of course, this will hinge on budget. There was discussion around roaming dogs and the importance of regularly providing residents to be given information to Valley Communications. Signs and postings on websites, our town website, and LED sign will be ongoing. Discussion around the MOU with F5 Wing Goose Bay with respect to animal control services is ongoing. We're waiting for training of course availability. There were lengthy conversations of cleanup orders of dilapidated buildings and the processes, what the process of tax sales were. And as you can see from just the last one, it's important to us to get this sorted and straightened away. Public Works Manager's report was presented by Randy Chambers. Crews are performing seasonal duties with ongoing road maintenance and assisting other departments' maintenance and heavy equipment needs. Depot maintenance is ongoing. Total sand lot count of 100 loads as of January 3rd of this year. Landfill tipping fees generated $167,527.50 as of December 30th, with ongoing maintenance at the landfill. Water and Sewer Manager's report was reviewed and available for review in the council package. Sewers, all lift stations are operating. Wells 1 to 7 are operating. Maintenance and repairs are ongoing. General maintenance and normal operations reported. A replacement GA valve was ordered for D17 as an upgrade to existing. At D42 reservoir, pump 1 is operating and pump 2 maintenance complete. Continuing maintenance to all town buildings is extensive and including but not limited to the fire hall upgrades, repairs to cell in Lagoon 2, water flushing, sewer cleaning, markers for hydrants and manholes. Engineering report was reviewed and available for view in the council package. Approval has been received for upgrading 3 sewage lift stations, and a meeting has been held with the engineer consultant that the design has started. Snow guard installation tender documents have been submitted to review. Tender call to be authorized soon. Municipal building upgrades, the HVAC design has been completed and an updated tender package is being prepared. A tender package has been prepared for heating controls at the arena and is in the process of being tendered. Municipal enforcement report was reviewed and available for review again in the council package. The protective service report was reviewed and available for view in the council package. The fire department team responded to 15 emergency incidents for the month of December, and the breakdown of calls is available in that package. Municipal enforcement team responded to 32 incidents. A breakdown is available. And I had the number, 32 incidents, sorry. All fire apparatus are fully serviceable. RCMP policing report was reviewed and revealing a total of 638 occurrences at the detachment with a total of 152 persons incarcerated for the month of December. The next meeting is scheduled for Monday, February 12th at 4:45 p.m. There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned at 5:44. Please accept this as having my report being read.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I move by Deputy Mayor Wallace that we accept the Municipal Services and Protective Services Committee report as presented. Seconded by Councillor Compton Hobbs. Discussion.
Just got a question, Mayor. When we had a discussion about the roaming dogs, we asked requested staff to put out a post on the town social media site that any dogs off leash, if residents had concerns, to call 3322. And I don't know if people have called but hopefully there's no dogs roaming now with these temperatures. But and we asked if they could put it out often so that people are aware that call this number if you see a roaming dog.
Okay.
And I was going to ask another question.
Is it related to the report?
We did discuss it in the committee.
But was it related to the report?
No, but if I've missed
Because we're just, hold on a second. Oh, okay, but if
I missed it.
if you're asking it to the report,
I don't
will
know
it?
if you mentioned it. I don't think you did though, but the RCMP, Did you mention that in your report?
Yep, the
Yep.
RCMP calls.
No, meeting.
Oh, I wasn't in
That was
attendance at the
after,
meeting.
that would be after the report.
Okay, so I'll
Okay.
ask after.
All right. So moved by Deputy Mayor Wallace, seconded by Councillor Compton Hobbs, I think it was, right? Okay. Any further discussion about the report? Okay, all those in favour indicate with aye. Aye. Contrary-minded? Passed. Did you want to ask about that now?
I was just gonna say,
Okay.
at that last meeting, we had a discussion around meeting with the RCMP, because in the past, we discussed that we would meet regularly. So, some of the council did meet with
Chad McLeod.
Chad McLeod and
John?
Sergeant John Henny
Yep.
last week. And he's agreed to meet with us again in April, so just to let council know,
Recorder.
he's agreed to meet again. It was a good meeting, just basically updating us, talked about a few things in town and, willing to sit down and meet again with us, so just because we discussed that in your meeting, and I just wanted to bring that forward.
I think the agreement is, and I apologize, because I thought it was only for the committee. So even, I know it was on the invite, but, so my apologies, and I've talked to Chad about that. I think he's agreed to talk every quarter, right? I think
Yeah,
it's,
4 times a year
yeah,
is what we agreed
so
to.
it just,
So the next one is April.
good. Anything else in terms of that report? Anybody? Okay. We've accepted that report anyway, so. Okay, moving on in our agenda. We have approval of checks. I'm going to ask that we approve the checks with the exception of number 27179, which is payment to an organization I'm involved with. And I'm assuming that's the Christmas party, staff's Christmas party. For Mason 17. So I am going to ask that we approve checks minus that 410803. Sorry? 410803. Minus, they should be easy though. Oh no, it's 3891. Yeah, not easy.
Math was not
Yeah,
my forte.
so 891,679.56
Yeah, minus.
minus
4108.
410803. Would approve those, I'll declare conflict, and then we can approve the last one.
I have 887, 571, 53.
887.5.
There you go.
71, 53, subject to confirmation by Councillor Pomeroy.
Any,
That sounds right.
okay. All right, so I'm going to pass the floor to Councillor Palmer for the approval of checks for up to January 23rd.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I move that council support the checks in the amount of $887,571.53.
Okay, moved by Councillor Pomeroy and the FAP committee. We approve checks in the amount of $887,571.53. Seconded by Councillor Rumbold. Discussion. I just have one. Yep, sorry, I have one question. TELUS Health. What's TELUS Health? What do we?
They used to be Morne Old Chappelle, and then they changed to LifeWorks, and that became TELUS.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I was wondering first time I haven't seen them in a while. Councillor Compton Hobbs.
I was just wondering, where's all the electrical work getting done? I just wondering, there's $30,000 for electrical, so is it Arena or somewhere, or
What's the company name?
Switch Electrical?
21714.
That's different buildings.
Yeah, so it's all town facilities?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else? And the other one is, just to bring your attention, because it always comes up, 27163 for, oh no, not, sorry, 21766. Palo Strategies Inc., and that represents the last payment for January, right?
So is that a monthly, that's the monthly cost?
That was the retainer.
What are we getting from him? I don't see anything.
We're done.
I got one little update that was a half a page long.
I thought that was what we'd asked him to, or you asked him to
But I mean,
provide us, or council
I
asked
can
for.
read a half a page worth
Yeah.
$6,000
But it's-
a month.
It's done now because,
That was 2 months, that
yeah.
was December and January. And
But I mean, I'm not seeing anything from him.
So he's
That's-
finished now?
that's done. We didn't, because we didn't budget it. It's not in the budget process.
Okay.
All right? Because I know it comes up every meeting, so I just,
I mean, I'd just like to see something from this. I mean, rather than throw money away, I don't know what he's doing.
that was sent out, wasn't it?
There was,
remember.
there was a half a page
Yeah.
just saying, but I mean, write a few letters. I mean, there was nothing, I didn't see what work he's done,
Okay, well, you can,
other than that he's
Chat
doing
with the
Yeah,
CAO.
it's
letters.
removed now, so it's
yeah,
good.
chat with the CAO, so that one's done. Any other questions? Do we approve checks? No. We discussed. Okay, any other discussion?
This one,
Okay.
27,
Second.
163, people stuff.
Yep.
I assume that's collective bargaining mostly?
Well, it's retained for HR too, right?
There's one retainer for HR, well, in the
Yeah.
absence of manager, and there's one for collective bargaining,
Okay.
which did occur earlier this month.
Did you have a question?
No, no.
Oh, I thought you put your hand, I'm sorry. You didn't? You're good? Okay, any other discussion? Get nervous now. All right, all those in favor of that amount, indicate with aye. Oh, aye. Contrary-minded, passed. Okay, I'm going to vacate the chair and let the deputy do the last check.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll pass it over to the Chair of the Finance Committee for the last check, the one
Thank you, Chair.
0027179, sorry.
Okay, check, try to get the number here. Okay, check number 000027179, Masons number 17 Limited, in the amount of $4,108.03. I move that council approve the amount.
Thank you, Councillor Pomeroy. So the check for the Masons, $4,108.03. We need a seconder? Councillor Broomfield, discussion?
I believe that amount was for the
Christmas party? That's my figure.
All righty, we go to vote. All those in favor in the amount, $4,108.03, indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Thank you. We'll ask Mayor to return to the chamber, please. Thank you, Mayor. Hand it back over to you.
All right, let's, councillors forum. Let us, where are we going tonight? Councillor Rumpel.
Thank
Cut you off
Your
guard.
Worship. Okay, I'd just like to know, we're starting off with the new year. I'd like to thank all of our staff here who did a good job last year, and we've all got challenges, and hopefully we'll step up to the plate as will we and deal with what we had to deal with to get this town moving forward and back on track. The other item I'd really like to mention now, I guess, is we are halfway through our term now, which is basically 2 years behind us. After this budget here, we only have one more budget left, and that's it for us, this council. But I think we do have to step up to the plate on this budget and get moving, because we have not had a budget meeting for over a month. And I'll tell you, the comments I've heard from people, for that simple fact that we're so delayed on the budget, is everyone's expecting an increase in their taxes. Well, not everybody, but people who've made comments to me said, well, you're this late in the year now, you're going to get a budget tax increase. We don't know, hopefully not, but we'll see what happens on that one there. My only other comment is I want to ask, because we've been talking about whatever we call non-profits, that kind of stuff earlier on, and there are many things in this town that, whether they're a profit or non-profit, who knows anymore, but there's lots of organizations in this town that have volunteers working for them. And one of them is the GBAC committee, or GBAC itself, which is really, as far as I'm concerned, is a business, not a non-profit, whatever they want to call. Well, about 2 months ago, I did ask if we were going to ever see any financials from them. We haven't seen anything yet, because we are paying a substantial amount of fees when we go through, traveling through that airport. I would really like to know where that money is going myself. Thank you, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Let's scoot across the table down there to Councillor Palmer.
All right, thank you, Your Worship.
Sorry, I cut you off guard, buddy.
No problem. I was just absorbing and trying to think what he was. But anyway, just wanted to bring up, and it's been raised by a few residents to me, concerned residents regarding the province's move to privatize both the air ambulance and road ambulance services. As you heard, Mayor of Gander has been actively involved in this issue and the impacts that will have on his community. And if you recall, when our community was being serviced, first of all, with respect to road ambulance, our community was being serviced by a private contractor. We had a lot of problems, huge problems. And an access to information request, by the way, that was filed prior to the private contract being canceled and taken over by the Regional Health Authority. The year prior to that, there were 13 calls that took over 30 minutes to respond to a call here in the community. Of those, 8 took over 45 minutes to respond. 1 took over an hour. And we've had, there was a lot of problems at the time with a private ambulance service. They were renting out space in one end of the town. And at that time, there was no ambulance over at the hospital. There was no ambulance station there. It was a private company that was operating the ambulance up on Port Real Road at one point. So if you had somebody sick up in Spruce Park or even Sheshashi, they had to leave their home. Some of them might have lived in Spruce Park and had to drive down, pick up an ambulance and go. So there was a lot of problems. We had a number of meetings with the health minister at the time, met with Labrador Granville Health at the time, and when the private contractor left town, the vehicles were left behind and they ended up at Newco because they weren't fit for the road. So that's a fact. And so then similar concerns with air ambulance. Now, at one point, you know, if the air ambulance service is going, like the province, right now the RFPs are out, it's on the Merck system. The probably don't anticipate probably another couple of months before there's any contract award on that, but similar concerns. If the air ambulance is based in St. John's, then they're gonna have to leave St. John's, come here, pick somebody up, bring them back to St. John's. There is some talk, and I think the intent is to hopefully have a presence here in Labrador with the air ambulance service, but then again, that's not carved in stone. And once the request for proposals come out, it could possibly go to one company. I think that's the government's hope. So, you know, that comes down to a matter of life and death again, time. Air ambulance is so important for us. Important for us, but certainly important for people on the coast who definitely, you know, having to get medevaced in from the coast and then having to get back to St. John's and wait for that ambulance, air ambulance come from St. John's to pick them up. I don't know. So I think that we should be asking questions. I think we should be reaching out to the minister and having a discussion with department officials so that at least we know what's going on, because at this point I have no idea. There's been no discussions whatsoever with this town, and we have not raised the questions directly with the province on what impact this could or may not have on our community. And I think it's important that we start asking those questions now, because once it's done, it's too late. The other thing was the North Side Depot. What's the if I can get an update, what's the delay on that? Why are we not moved into that yet? If I may.
Go right ahead, sir. Mr.
Well,
Dillon?
it's the opinion of staff at the present time that the building does not meet our spec, and we're waiting on, we have further meetings with the owner on as to the timeline as to when these particular items will be corrected.
So in terms of, so I understand, and I was always under the understanding that once the town took over or leased this facility, the town would not be responsible for maintenance costs. Is that correct?
No, we will not be. In the tender, there were certain maintenance costs that were included in the tender. In order to decrease the lease, the town took over some of the inspection and minor maintenance costs associated with that particular building.
Plus, we have to continue to pay heat and lights in that building as well. Also for security cameras, or any security that would be provided, we're responsible for that as well. Also the installation of some doors, some equipment, aggregate in the parking lot, all of that. And it was over a year ago the contract has been awarded, and we're still not in there. And the other question is, at the time too, I was also of the assumption that the town had an option to purchase that building after 5 years, once $2.7 million has gone into it of taxpayers' funds. Town do not have an option in the contract. Is that correct?
That was not part of the tender, an option to purchase the building.
So we have no option to purchase, even though I was told we did. and I was told that we would not be responsible for any maintenance. So here we are, making decisions, when I'm not given the full information. I had to request to go through the contract personally, find out those answers. So when those answers are asked, I was told that we would not be responsible for any maintenance, and we would not be, we would have an option to purchase. And that is not the case. So I'll just leave it at that. I just want to clear that up, because there's a lot of confusion out there. People think that we're taking over this building and not having to have any maintenance costs, yet we're gonna still operate the current depot. That's gonna come at a cost as well. So we're not any further ahead, in my opinion. But we can't cancel the contract. I don't think we can, if the issues are on our end. But if the issues are on the company's end, is that an option that we can look at?
Well, we have a signed contract.
Even though it's
It's
not
not a
being-
matter of canceling a contract. We have a contract with the,
But there are
with the
terms in the
company.
contract that the town was to occupy within 90 days. That hasn't been fulfilled.
If there's a breach, I'd like to pursue it.
There's a bunch of those there
That's
that we are not in a position to take over that building.
No,
And there's outlined in the contract timelines and what work needed to be done. We're over a year since the contract was awarded, and we're still not in that building. And the cost is costing the town. We have to pay for aggregate, we have to update the parking lot, we have to install security cameras if required. I know all these things were taken out, but these are things that were initially in the 3-year contract, which through addendums became a 5-year contract.
yes, but
Yes, and-
these items were reduced. The thing was that there was a tender, but in order to reduce the cost of the tender, the town took over these particular items. So 6 of one, half dozen of the other, really. So maintenance costs were included, but the cost of the tender, the lease, went down.
So, I mean, I know, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, and I wasn't part of the decision at the time, and I'm trying to get my head around the rationale for it. I know it was occupational health and safety and all that stuff, but for a $544,000, $455,000 monthly or annual lease, couldn't that money be used to access federal and provincial money for necessary upgrades to the current depot until the town was in a position to expand? That's the only question. I know we can't
I
change,
think
but anyway,
back at the
that's-
beginning though, Councillor Palmer, the reason we were stuck where we were is because our audits weren't done. And we were forced into a situation that we weren't allowed to
well, you
enter
weren't
into,
forced
because,
into
but
leasing the
just,
building.
well,
But this is
you
not a
don't-
debate.
but
This
would
is
you,
not
I'm
just
not
a-
debating, I'm
okay,
just,
a
if you're gonna
point of
present some
privilege- point of
information,
privilege,
Yeah.
I'm speaking my councillor's forum, it's not a debate, and I've said my piece.
okay. All right, let's go to Councillor Compton House.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about the budget too, and I've mentioned before, it's disappointing that we're still not finished. We haven't met over months, like Councilor Broomfield said. It's pretty sad, we can't even look at a donation request for an organization in the community such as Birchbrook or who have you, but I think, seeing this is on the public record, we should start our meetings in September and stick to them and make sure that we follow a schedule, that our budget is done by December. To look around and see other municipalities done early December, late November, and we're still here, and we're gonna meet tonight, and whenever the budget's gonna get done, it's concerning. I'm gonna talk about the trails. I think of Mr. Dodd coming in here a couple times now, and for us to move forward, if we cannot put 1 cent in them trails, again, it's concerning to me. There's an issue in our community, persons with, mobility issues, even to walk on that trail is dangerous. There's pavement missing or whatever. And looking at the checks and seeing all the money go out, and this council has done nothing yet in your term to improve the betterment of the community. And by the looks of that budget, there's not gonna be anything done in the next year either. And I'm gonna talk about that depot too, because I said before, it was $42,000 a month, but where are you getting your information to? That's not correct, that's incorrect. So I wish we could get the right number of what it is per month, because I just heard Council Pomeroy say $455,000 a year. That's a large chunk of money that could be going into the community. And, you know, we're in our term 1 year, this month, we've been back here, re-elected, 1 year this month. And I'd like to see something happen in the community before our term ends. This council be able to do something to better the community, to improve it, beautify it, whatever we gotta do, but I'd like to see something. And again, I talked about this in the past year. I don't know, got my feet wet for 3 or 4 months and talked about it, but communication, lack of, very frustrating as a counselor. The lack of communication amongst council, from the mayor to council, sometimes from the staff to council, it's very frustrating. We need to do better. You know, if there's something going on pertaining to the town, and I brought this up, like, I get that the mayor is it's the point of contact for the town. People wanna sit down and meet with the mayor. But it should be communicated to the council. An example of that was the Lab Inn, and I know that the mayor told him to reach out to the council and come to the committee, but that happened in July, and I was questioning on it and had no idea what he was talking about. If there's meetings going on that's pertaining to this town, then we should be aware of it, no matter what it is. Whether it's whatever. For us to hear it secondhand or later and not even know what they're talking about, I find it frustrating. I think we need to improve, we can do better as a council. Communication is key. If we're not communicating with each other, then we're not a very good council, in my mind. It's key to make, you know, to improve this town and make it better and make, you know, work with the residents, the businesses, the organizations, whatever. But communication is key, and I'll just leave it at that.
Council Winters.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to say one thing. I'd like to wish all the kids that are playing hockey next week all the best.
That is, sir? All right, Councilor Rumbold.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't think that there is a single individual at this table who would not like to give everybody what they want. I would like to see trails. I'd like to see a communications officer. There are so many things. I think we all have these big wish lists. We wouldn't be here if we didn't want to improve the community. And I'm sure we all are. I can't speak for anybody else, but it's very frustrating when, like you said, we're at the point where we can't approve a donation today because we don't have a budget finalized. And I don't want to use the word fearful because I'm not fearful, but I'm concerned that when we have these conversations, we have to balance the needs of the community with the dollars and cents. We're constantly juggling all these balls where we don't want to increase taxes, you don't want to hurt this group, you want to do what's in the best interest of everybody. And it's like, you have this much money to work with, and it's not my money. It's not your money. It's the whole community's money. So, you know, we can't, I can't say, oh, I'm in favor of putting all our money into recreation because that's my thing, but I don't think we should put any money into roads and grounds because that's not my We have all these things that we have to balance, and it's just, I think my only comment is to the community to know that I don't think that there is one person who is not taking this seriously in our table of 7. So we've all got different approaches, we've all got different priorities, we've all got different feelings. But when we adjourn this meeting and we head straight into a budget meeting, I feel my own personal opinion is that every single individual that sits down will have the best interest of the community at heart and will do the best that they can because that's what we were elected for. So I look forward to us having a productive meeting. Try to look at it with a positive outlook. And just, we'll do our best with what we have. And at the end of the day, that's all you can do. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Councilor Pomeroy, for bringing up the air ambulance. I think that needs to be something that we as a group of 7 here representing this community, but drive that conversation. Be the front of minds for everybody in conversations and discussions throughout wherever you go. We need to have that crucial here. That hub needs to be here. That base needs to be here. Whether that's deciding to have it in the talks to have it in Central, even if it's in Gander or Grand Falls, that's still a 2-hour flight from here and then going up to the coast again. It's way too long. We can't let that happen. And you're certainly right, when it's done, it's too late. So we do need to keep that conversation going, and the pressure and the time is what we can push here. Congrats to those who participated in the Skate Classic last weekend at the E.J. Broomfield Arena. We had loads of skaters here competing and dancing beautifully on the ice. We had loads of active children last Saturday at the Y for the under 11 and under 13 soccer tournament. They had a ball. It was lovely and joyous to see them having as much fun as they did. Congrats to 3 local skiers from Birchbrook, Finn Woolham, Olivia Crane, and Bree Brackett, who have made the NL team, or representing Labrador in cross-country skiing for the NL Games happening in February in Gander, and to many other athletes from our area who have made teams. So congrats, and wish them all the best for sure. And again, the hockey, Lab Cup hockey tournament this weekend. So get out there and cheer on your favorite team. It's gonna be fun.
Good.
Thank you.
All right. Just a couple, and I should have done this at the beginning of the meeting, but our town lost an incredible person again. We lose a lot of incredible people lately. I just wanted to bring Mr. Scaplin's family to mention, and passing of Dave. Dave was involved considerably heavily in the community, later in the business side, but also I know I served with him on the co-op board for many years and things like that. And his passing, I just want to send condolences to his family for that. The Lab Inn, Councillor Compton Hobbs, I'll tell you how it went down. It was another one of those requests to meet the mayor. I went up and looked at what he was doing. He had come to council previous to you coming back wanting to do something, and the application was pulled by the person. He called with an interest of trying to get the application going again from his end. When I went and saw what he was doing, he asked what I thought, and I said, I think what you need to do now is go to committee, Community Planning and Development, and speak to that committee and get them up here to see what you're doing. So if it took him 5 months to come to you or 6 months to come to you, I can't control that. I don't go out pushing businesses or anything. I can offer my suggestion, and the suggestion was to him that he directly approach committee and get committee to go. So that's why you just heard about it. So it wasn't a secret meeting or anything. That was, sorry, my floor. Sorry, it's my floor. So anyway, that's what it is. The congratulations again to the skating group that the deputy mayor mentioned. It was good to see the MP in attendance, and it was a great event. Over 100 skaters, which is good. Want to congratulate a couple of businesses on their openings. Young Chris Kavanagh with his smoke vape shop in the Gears building, and as well to Nunacorum Amatik, their new restaurant. So that's good. I looked at the figures for community planning and development. The permits that were pulled last year, in 2022, the value of the permits was $15 million, a little over $15 million, and this year it's $17.5 million. Yeah, some of that is inflation, but it just goes to show that there is some work being done in town, both from a commercial and from a private developing perspective. So that's nice to see that increasing, and I'm sure there's lots of communities that would be envious of that position. The budget, we've been behind. The budget's supposed to be passed on December 1st. The paperwork submitted by December 31st, absolutely. We've been extremely challenged with having to try to get audits done, and some of that process hasn't been smooth either. But it's part of the problem, not to make excuses because it needs to be better. But one of the conversation pieces that was already had was that the policy needs to be put in place exactly as you had reiterated, that budget meeting starting whatever date to make sure that it's done. Hopefully that auditing process gets resolved and we only have current year audits going forward so that our DFO along with the CAO can manage that. In terms of the depot, there's lots I can say. Again, we were curtailed because of the audits not being done. We were curtailed to not being able to enter an agreement longer than 3 years and no borrowing. So our depot, it was felt that it has outlived its usefulness and also poses some occupational health and safety concerns. So from that perspective, that's why we went to the minister and asked if we could get the lease increase to make the payments somewhat better to the 5-year mark, and she approved at the time. But again, the borrowing issue is a problem for us. If you look at our payments at the Y, I think our cost on the Y was about $3 million. The cost on those payments are 16,000, I think, 800 a month, I think, or 16,300 a month. So if you extrapolate that out to a $10 million building, which is 3 times that $3 million payment out to Y, we're at $48,000 a month. So project probably would come in at $10 or $12 million for a depot, somewhere in that ballpark. So that's when people say that it was money not well spent. We'll end up with a 25-year mortgage of 40 or more $1,000 a month, and we'll end up with an old building like we have over there now. It was my understanding, though, and I'm not sure about other council, that the old depot was not going to be utilized. So I'm not sure where those plans changed, and I wasn't involved in those. So, okay. So with that, I think that is it for me. Yes, indeed. Anything else from management before I close? Anyone management? CAO? Mr. Dillon? Oh, Kathy. That's strange. Oh, gee, I didn't know. Oh, no, absolutely. And I didn't, I wasn't made aware. Yeah, so, yeah, no, absolutely. And Madonna Evo, yeah. So, yes, indeed, condolences to her family for, she was along here with us for a number of years, right? Yeah, 25, wow. Okay, well, yep, the news is not cheery these days. In terms of our ambulance, yeah, absolutely. I think I reached out to the MHA back when I was contacted by a person who was putting some information out and to me. And what I was asked, or what I was told, was that they were in the process, government was in the process of putting additional information out. I didn't hear any, I wasn't contacted with any additional information. I have heard my colleague Percy Farwell, the mayor of Gander, in the media. And I've heard from some politicians. That's the only thing I've heard. But I think, yeah, no, absolutely, I think we need to represent it. I know, from what I understand, our Happy Valley Gooseway will play a part in a new system, but I don't know if that's just for the North Coast perspective or if it's for, because what we don't want to do is go back to where we were, which is previous to. Now, I know we have had some challenges over the last little while, and the planes being based in St. John's and Cruz and things like that. But we definitely don't want to go back to when we had the issues that we all heard about. It's still not a perfect system, but yeah. So I think collectively we should have a quick chat after and see what approach we want to do. If we want to go, media-wise, or we want to go to government-wise. I know the RFP is out, so now I don't know how much leverage we would have in terms of that, but
Yeah, I think it's 2 months or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. My understanding is, though, that the RFP is going to be assessed by a or a professional board that's not attached to government or anything along that line. So I don't know. Maybe
So
there's
66 days left. Yeah,
somewhere
process.
into that. So, all right. Okay. If nobody has anything else, then I'll proceed to close the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned made by Councillor Rumbold, seconded by Councillor Compton Hobbs. And all those in favour, indicate with aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. All right.